your number one source for sports.
You know who I can't stand? Kevin Durant.
He looks like Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton had a kid.
Now, who can argue with that?
I hate Boston.
I'm the biggest Miami Heat hater you'll ever meet.
I just don't understand where you're getting your bogus information from.
What the hell are you even talking about?
Well, I'm sorry you're too freaking sensitive to handle the truth.
You think I'm crazy? I'm just getting warmed up.
You're now between the hash marks with James Koklak and Sean McCabe.
Hey, thanks for listening to BTH, the universe's greatest sports podcast, whoop, whoop, where you will get the most absurd stats and the information you won't hear anywhere else. We have another absolutely stacked program for you today. With my co-host, Sean McCabe, I'm James Koklak. What's up, bud? How are you?
James, I have never been better a day in my life. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I feel like I hear that exact phrase every single week.
But you know what? It's pretty amazing because I just keep getting better every damn day of my life. It's honestly a miracle.
Hey, you can't ask for much more, right? But also, we have some big NFL matchups this weekend. A lot of rivalries, a lot of divisional games.
Yeah, we do.
Which game are you most looking forward to?
I'm a huge Jacksonville Jaguars fan, so we got to go with the Seahawks at the Jags. It's a huge game for both teams. If the Jags can win this, it looks like they're going to win the division, be the 3 seed in the AFC. That'd be huge for them.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, no way. I wanted to believe it, but I would never predict it at the beginning of the year. I never would have put my name on it at all. But yeah, that's the big game for me. What about you?
Honestly, which is weird, that also, and me being a homer, I'm really looking forward to seeing the Jets play again this weekend because we've been looking better and better every week. And it shows a bright future for next year, and it's something that I didn't see at the beginning of the season. So that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, you were supposed to be 0-16 this year,
and I thought that. So that's really a game that I want to see more growth from the Jets, and I want to see. I think it'll be a huge test to play in Denver because even though Denver hasn't been a great team as of late, Denver is still a tough place to play, especially
Absolutely.
with that altitude.
Absolutely.
So I'm really looking forward to seeing that game. Well, anyway, we will be diving into the deep end today, discussing a ton of college bowl games. Will we see any major upsets, the most recent firings in the NFL, and what's next for those respective teams? We also have our usual picks against the spread, as well as a mini game. We will be doing things a little bit different today with no opening rant because we have two very special guests, Eddie Maglocco and Nick Angiolilli. Thanks for coming in, guys, joining the cast. How are you guys today?
I'm doing awesome, man. Rams got a big week this week against the Eagles, so I'm feeling good.
The Rams have been the biggest surprise. Besides, that's funny. Both your teams have been surprises this year in the NFL. I didn't see it coming, but they looked really good.
First winning season since Mark Bolger. I'm feeling good about it.
I feel a playoff coming. What is it? It's been since 2003 since the Rams have been in the playoffs. I think it is. So it's been 15 years.
Yep.
What about you, Eddie? What's going on?
Not much, man. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for having me, guys. And even though the Giants are 2-10, I'm telling you, this is our Super Bowl. We're playing the Dallas Cowboys this week, and that's how it's going to go.
Right on, man. Right on.
I did not see another surprise. Mm-hmm. All three teams are surprising. The only team who wasn't really surprising is
the Jets are surprising because they're supposed to be 0-16. And you got 5 wins?
Yeah, and we could be 7-5.
There you go.
We're 8-4. I mean, we played pretty good this year. So, well, anyway, without any further ado, let's jump right into the fire. Head coach Ben McAdoo and longtime general manager Jerry Reese were let go by the New York Giants this week after starting the season 2-10. What is next for the New York Giants as a team, and what is next for Eli Manning moving forward?
So, I think Eli should stay with the New York Giants, but I think the Giants should get rid of Eli. They already messed it all up. They already benched him. They ruined the streak. They ruined everything that was cool about this. Because you know what? He's been trash for about the past 4 years. And I know Eddie will... Yeah, I know you don't like it, but he's been trash for about the past 4 years. Yes, he had those Super Bowl wins. Yes, he beat the undefeated New England Patriots. Those were great moments. I'm not taking that away from him, and I enjoy watching the Patriots. I'm from New England. I was rooting for the Patriots in those. I give that to Eli. But he's been trash the last 4 years, so they should move on. They already messed it up. They need to see what this kid Davis Webb has, and if they can actually do something with him. Obviously, Geno Smith is nothing at all.
He couldn't even throw against the Raiders.
No,
who were,
exactly.
31st against the pass.
Like the worst defense.
It's Geno Smith. The Jets already knew what they had with him. I don't know why Ben McAdoo thought he could actually do something when it made absolutely no sense on that move at all. I think he honestly had something out for Eli. There was a grudge or something there. There was something going on.
Absolutely. I totally agree. But I just have a quick question. When did New Yorkers become so damn soft? I've never seen so much support for Eli Manning than this past week. Even after he won the Super Bowl, they weren't even as much behind him as they are this past week or so. When did? Because I've always thought New Yorkers are tough guys, and everything's tough to do. So even going to cash a check at the office, it's a pain in the ass. The weather's always cold, but just a bunch of tough guys here. And then they get all soft on me right when I think they're gonna be smashing Eli to the ground. They get all soft. What's going on here?
You want to know what it is?
What's that?
Benny with the good hair, man. That's exactly why. Because he made. All right, listen.
With the good hair.
Now think about it.
I'm not stereotypical, but he looked like he belonged in NASCAR rather than football.
Right?
So.
Yeah, absolutely. With that stupid haircut, a slick back,
sunglasses.
Unbelievable.
He wears sunglasses when it's cloudy. Who does that?
Ben McAdoo. That's why he got fired. That's why he's gone. That's part of the issue.
Couldn't see the field.
But definitely, the thing about Eli, and a lot of people said at the beginning of the season, is that people wanted him gone because they don't think he has it anymore. He's done, and even a few of my buddies were even saying they're Giants fans, and they're like, he's done, whatever, it is what it is. We start the season out 0-4 or 0-5, I think, right? We went 0-5, and then we beat Denver, and we went 1-5. Is what it is. Ben McAdoo has been the offensive play caller for the last, I think, like 4 or 5 years, even when Tom Coughlin was there, and he hasn't done anything as a head coach because he just has been calling the plays. He's been calling the offensive plays the entire time, and nothing's ever worked. If you look at all these years, like you're saying, Eli has been awful. How many years
so Ben McAdoo
has
years?
Ben McAdoo been the
right.
offensive coordinator? Don't get me wrong there, but the thing is, you get rid of Ben McAdoo, and all the fans they're excited because now you got Eli coming back. Eli should have played last week against the Raiders. We honestly probably would have won that game if he would have played. We only lost by a touchdown when Geno Smith played. But the reason why people are backing Eli now is because McAdoo straight up ruined exactly what Eli had going for him, which was that streak. Granted, did any of us honestly think Eli would be in the league long enough to beat Brett Favre's record at like 297, I think it was?
297.
Probably wouldn't happen. But it's still a record that he only beat his brother by 3 games now, just because of that move by McAdoo. The thing is, people support Eli because of what he's done for New York.
Obviously.
And that's it. And that's why people are coming out and supporting him, is because of that. And everybody knew Ben McAdoo was the problem since week 2 or 3.
So where are the Giants going from here, though? Like, are they going to hire a big-name coach like a John Gruden? Or are they going to go...
John Gruden's not leaving the ESPN booth. It's such a good job. Making so much
great.
money just to talk about football.
I'm not a Giants fan by any means, but the Giants are one of those jobs like the Steelers, or when the Patriots job opens up, the Patriots job. It's the Packers job. It's one of those premier jobs in football, and it's not like the Jets or I'm sorry to say the Jaguars or the Rams for the last 10 years. You know what I mean? Like the Giants are one of those. Not original teams, but one of those premier teams. The John Mara is so well respected. It's just they're different. They're like the Cowboys. It's
one of the dynasties of the NFL. It is what it is. I mean, not ring wise, but just as a franchise in general. When you think about franchises in the NFL, like James said, you don't think about the Jacksonville Jaguars. You don't think about the Houston Texans. You're thinking about the Patriots. You're thinking about the New York Giants. You're thinking about the Dallas Cowboys,
the Pittsburgh Steelers,
the Green Bay Packers.
Fair enough.
That's who you're thinking about.
So, and that's why I can see if John Gruden's coming out of retirement to coach, it's only going to be for a big team like that. I don't think he would go to a small market or a small team. If the New York Giants job is open, that's his job if he wants it.
I think it's more likely that he goes back to Tampa instead of going to the Giants because he lives in Tampa. He knows the area. He knows the team. So I think something more like that. And that is a small market. That's not a premier team.
That would be a different story. He's coached there already. Yeah. He lives there. If the Tampa job opens up,
Super Bowl with him too.
That's true.
But I don't think Gruden's going to leave the booth.
Personally, as a Giants fan, I don't think Gruden will leave it. Even the job sounds great to any coach that was even offered it, but I don't think Gruden will leave it.
You're going to have Brandon Marshall coming back. You're going to have Odell coming back. They're going to have a pretty stacked offense next year if they can fix that offensive line this offseason.
I'll tell you right now, though. I think Brandon Marshall's getting cut.
Yeah. Okay.
It's possible.
He hasn't done anything this year.
You got Sterling.
Nothing. I mean,
he can't anymore. But
I'm saying, when he was healthy though, like think about when he was healthy,
he was pretty bad. I think
no touchdowns.
I think he had 2 catches on the whole
and
game.
they gave him red zone targets.
I know he had a big drop against that Lions
game. The Detroit game, he dropped that one and he blamed the light in his eyes. Okay, every wide receiver could say the exact same thing.
Evan Ingram's coming to his own. Sterling Shepard's really
Shepard's been looking like a baller.
And that defense is respectable.
It is.
A defense you could really see see they gave up on McAdoo over the
Yeah,
last
you got Landon
6 weeks or
Collins,
so.
who could be the best safety in league at some point in his
Janoris.
career. You got Janoris Jenkins, who's a top 10 corner.
We probably won't re-sign him though. It's too much money he wants. This is last year on contract. He'll probably go.
Well, what should they do with Eli?
Eli, I think, needs to stay because this is where it's going to go. And a lot of the coach, like
How
I've read
old is Eli?
articles. Eli is 36, 37, I think. 36,
I
37.
think he's going on 37.
Yeah,
He's not
and-
going to play till he's 40. So
He's got 2-3 years left, but realistically, the reason why they're going to keep Eli and we want him and he's going to retire as a Giant, it will happen. I personally think it's going to happen. I think he should stay with him, but I think how old is he? Yeah, he's 36 years old. So I think what's going to happen is that the Giants will end up drafting a quarterback. And the reason why they're not going to get rid of Eli, and I've read articles on it already, they want to mold a quarterback through Eli. They know what Eli...
That might not be the best idea.
but the thing is, it's something he's known. The thing is, Eli's known that market and he's been there his entire career. But it's just a certain thing. The only thing I can say is that the Giants fired McAdoo, and what's going to happen is this week with Spagnuolo being the head coach now, the interim head coach, everybody's rallying around Eli. Nobody really respected Ben McAdoo in the locker room. Everybody's going to step up for Eli this week. And don't be surprised if they turn around and beat Dallas at home this week. Especially with Ezekiel Elliott out still. And don't be surprised if they show up this week.
Been really shaky. So, I mean, it's possible. But, all right, I want all three opinions. There's a Giants head coach out there. Who's going to be the next Giants head coach? And who will they draft at quarterback this year?
I think they're going to go, if assuming Rosen goes number 1,
Looks like the Giants are going to get number 2 pick.
then they'll get the number 2, which I think Darnold's going to come out. What I've been hearing is that it's 50-50 now. Maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago it was 30-70 that he would come out, but I think he's going to come out. And I mean, if the Browns are liking Rosen, if Darnold's hearing the Browns are liking Rosen, Darnold's definitely coming out and playing, and he's going to play for the Giants. So they would draft Darnold. But for a coach, wow, I could see if they have a nice rally over the next few games, I could see them giving it to Spag. I could see him doing it because he's coached before. Didn't he coach the Rams?
He coached the Rams, and well, he was also an offensive coordinator for us, and he was. That's the only thing I would worry about having Spags as your head coach is his track record with the Rams as an offensive coordinator was awful.
Yeah, well, he's not an offensive coordinator realistically. Even when he was with the Giants originally before the Rams, he didn't even leave the Giants. The Rams just offered him a contract to go to the Rams. Like he didn't leave just because he wanted to. He got offered the contract, but he came back as a defensive coordinator. He's a defensive mind. Yeah. He's not an offensive mind, and that's how he is.
Well, but I could see them like it's kind of what the Jags did last year with Doug Marrone. After they got rid of Gus Bradley, they kept Doug Marrone, and I was one of the biggest haters on it. I did not want to keep Doug Marrone. I did not respect him. But he had the respect of the locker room, and that's really all that matters.
Yeah, well,
he looks like a genius right now. Sorry to cut you off. Doug Marrone looks like a genius for leaving the Bills.
Oh yeah, that's right. He left the Bills head coaching job for the Jags offensive coordinator job, and it's
basically.
what?
Yeah, he knows looking like a genius right now though. Tom Coughlin.
Yeah, right.
And the Giants are just sitting.
Well, I mean, this is another thing that we're gonna bash Jerry Reese for. Like, how are you gonna blame the team 2 years ago just on Tom Coughlin? I mean, that's entirely disrespectful of the man. He's led the team to 2 Super Bowls. He built the Jaguars up originally, which is why you gave him the job in the first place. And then the discipline, which you've been lacking the last 2 years, he's been installing that in Jacksonville, and that's why they're good with all their young players.
Because they're enforcing, like, there's tension, not tension. There's a lot of energy in the locker room, and he creates that. He'll tell him, he'll get in your face and yell at Coughlin.
Yeah,
Ben
exactly.
McAdoo just, we talked about that one of the podcasts I was on. He just sits there like nothing's going on.
Exactly. Like Odell never got disciplined at all, but he did with Coughlin.
Exactly. The thing about with McAdoo's problem was too with the defense. He didn't know the defense. He never got along with the defense. He didn't know Janoris Jenkins. That's why Spagnuolo and him were butting heads because McAdoo didn't know the defense, and he's sitting there suspending him. DRC did mess up, and he even came out and said that. But Jenkins was just like, no, I don't respect Ben McAdoo as a coach. Basically, is what he said. He can come out and say that, but basically what he said is that he just didn't respect McAdoo as a coach, and he just took the suspension and ate it.
So you think Spags is going to get the job too?
No, I do not. I think Spags will stay as a defensive coordinator. But
so who do you think is going to be the next
head coach? I can't remember his name, but the head coach for Stanford is looking like one of the
David Shaw.
Looking like one of the top candidaats right now that I've been reading about for the job. Will he leave Stanford? I don't know, because I have been hearing that he has family in Stanford area and everything like that. So it'd be a big move for him. But also, like we said, it's the Giants. It's a huge franchise. It's a big, big job.
Nick, who do you think?
I actually like that Shaw move as well, and I think it's because, I wouldn't say he lucked out, but he had two really great running backs back-to-back with McCaffrey and Bryce Love. It's unlikely you're going to come up with an opportunity like that again, and, come on, who doesn't want to coach the Giants? You're in a huge market. You have a lot of talent, as you guys have been saying. You unfortunately dealt with a lot of injuries, and if you end up with a top 2 pick, to end up getting someone who either Rosen or Darnold, who he has experience playing against,
lost to him twice this year.
exactly,
Yeah.
in his own conference. He's definitely watched tape on both of them. He knows a decent bit about them, so it could be a familiar and a pretty likely fit for them.
It makes sense. I haven't read too much into who's going to be the next Giants head coach, but that being said, I like the David Shaw pick. There's not really too many coaches available at the moment. I heard Jeff Fisher wants to get back in the game, but he's not going to be the next Giants head coach.
If the Giants give him the job, then they'll be terrible for the next 5 or 6 years.
I agree with that one. The only thing I will say though, really quick before we're done with the Giants, is that the Giants always like to bring back somebody who has been involved with their franchise at some point. And look at Spagnuolo. He's been, everybody that has been a coach has been involved with the Giants somehow, some way.
Yep.
And they always seem to bring them back, whether it's a general manager, vice president, head coach. If they know the team and they know John Mara and they respect John Mara, a lot of the times they bring you back to the Giants franchise. And that's how we've always been.
I just mentioned this person before, and I said that they were going to stay at a certain college. What if Lane Kiffin ends up being the next head coach?
Oh, get out of here. Get out of here.
You're crazy.
No way.
I'm
It's
just
not
saying, that's a coach that could leave college and look for a bigger opportunity, unless he wants to stay in Sunny Boca.
I think he's staying in Sunny Boca.
FAU had a top 10 offense this year.
No, and they were phenomenal, and that's why I think that, look at the Giants' offense this year. Even with Odell and Brandon Marshall and Sterling Shepard, they were terrible to begin the year. So that could be an offensive mind. If you keep Spags on as the defensive coordinator, their defense will still be solid, and their team could be turned around. That could be a smart hire, and Lane Kiffin might be looking for a bigger opportunity. But question of the hour, last thing on the Giants. Is there any chance they bring Tom Coughlin to be president of operations or general manager of the New York Giants, and he leaves the Jaguars for that job in New York?
0% chance, because he's been disrespected.
Okay, I just wanted to see if it came to mind. As you said, they like to bring people back. I don't know if the tension is still there, but there would be a position open in the front office. I was wondering what your opinions are about him actually possibly coming back.
And down the road, maybe, but with his age, I don't know how long he'd even want to be in football. And
very true.
Just like Sean said, I feel like it's too early for that to happen.
The bad blood is still
Absolutely.
there.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
It's way too fresh right now. And Coughlin's sitting back laughing. He's like, "Hi, Jackson was an awful ice."
And he's in sunny
look at
Florida.
us, and he goes, "Look at the New York Giants to get rid of me." And
He doesn't have to deal with the frigid temperatures in Green Bay in the playoffs with those red cheeks. But moving on, another team shook up the front office. The Cleveland Browns. Anybody surprised?
Yeah, big shocker over here.
I
blew my hat off.
literally. Winless team this year. Hugh Jackson, I think what he is 1-26, 1-27 in his.
Okay, first question: does he keep his job?
Yes,
Why?
because this is not his fault. Hugh Jackson is a phenomenal football coach. As we talked about earlier before the podcast, he actually wanted Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
It's the guy who was fired, Sachi Brown, who now does not have a job because basically he didn't want Carson Wentz. The Browns would be not where the Eagles are right now, but they'd be in the right direction if they had Carson Wentz.
It's interesting too because if you look at their defense statistically, they're like 17th, I believe, somewhere around 17th, 16th, 18th. Giving up yards per play on the defensive side of the ball. So they're not terrible on the defense by any means. They're very average.
Yeah.
But Kaiser.
and you know what? And there's more to it, and Kaiser is definitely a problem. He was not he didn't deserve to go in any of the first 5 rounds.
No, he didn't even. He should have stayed. He didn't deserve. He didn't deserve to go pro.
His head coach from Notre Dame even said, so
exactly.
Why I don't know why he left. He should have stayed another year.
Exactly.
Where do the Browns go from here, though? Because they just got Josh Gordon back, and we all know he's a freak of nature. He actually put up some pretty decent numbers as his first game back in 2 years now.
Yep.
80 yards, first game back in 2 years.
Four receptions, 80 yards.
And he got 11 targets that game. So Kaiser was looking for him.
And where do they go from here? Who are they going to bring into the front office?
Well, they just actually brought in Dorsey from Kansas City, who was a Kansas City GM from 2013 to 2016, and I think it's a decent hire. But I just want to say this: like, I didn't love the Sashi Brown hiring right away, but I understood why they did it. They wanted to be different. They wanted to go the sabermetric route, and hey, it worked in baseball. Let's try to
worked in basketball too.
Worked in basketball
with Maury.
Exactly, and I respect trying to find different ways to find value in certain players. And if you want to do that process, then tank like you're actually going to tank, and then get the draft pick, and then keep going and keep going. But don't be surprised if it doesn't work after 18 months. It's ridiculous. If you're going to tank like that, you need to do what the Philadelphia 76ers are doing and just be terrible for 4 or 5 straight years, and then it'll start coming around. I think they half-assed this tanking process. And it's really annoying. It's really annoying.
I see why, though, only because they've been in the league for I think 19 years now, since they became an expansion franchise in a sense, because the Baltimore Ravens are the old Cleveland Browns. They've only had 2 winning seasons, and they've been bad for 19 years now.
Yeah, okay, so what's changed?
I don't know. I think that they're just so sick of it that they didn't want to wait the process out, and they want to take the quicker route, which, you know what? Now that you speak of it, I do remember the hearing about John Dorsey hiring. He was with the Chiefs. He was with the Patriots, too. So I do like this hiring, and if Hugh Jackson were to get fired, I would think that either Matt Patricia or Josh McDaniels would be a candidate.
They'd be candidates, but I don't see Patricia leaving. I could see McDaniels going.
Yeah, I could see McDaniels taking the opportunity because he didn't succeed with Denver and he wants to prove himself.
Yeah.
But
and he's also another young, great offensive mind.
And he's a Bill Belichick disciple. And he'd be with somebody he's familiar with Dorsey. So I do like that move, but I don't know, where do the Browns go from here? How are they gonna finally draft a quarterback first overall and trust that process?
What they need to do is they need to take Sam Darnold if he commits to the draft. Don't try to get too cute with yourself and take Rosen. Take Sam Darnold. He is the best quarterback. He's the best prospect. Yes, not the best numbers, but that doesn't matter here. We're moving up a level. We want to play in a pro-style offense. We want to have that kind of mindset, that kind of maturity. And Rosen, Rosen's super intelligent. Everything I've heard about him, he's super intelligent, but he's too...
I heard he doesn't have the passion. And
well,
he's not great with people in the building.
He is going to do great things outside of football when he's done with his NFL career, and that's where I think Josh Rosen's head's at. He's an intellectual, really. That's what he is, and he's going to play football, and that's how he's going to get his name out there and have his platform.
You think he'll be more known for his after football career?
Yeah, precisely. And I think he's going to be a fine quarterback, but he's too involved with social changes and stuff like that. Not that that's a bad thing, but if you're a football team, you don't want that.
I could picture him being in the broadcast booth, just his name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, it's Jim Nantz here with Josh Rosen.
Yep.
You know, like, that sounds natural.
But they need to take Sam Darnold. He's the best guy.
His intangibles, he's huge. 6'5", what is he, 235? He's built to be an NFL quarterback. It's just whether or not is he going to continue to develop and be that NFL prototype that everybody thought he was going to be before this season started.
I think it can be. It's a matter of who takes him and who he has around him to play. Is how it's going to be, personally.
I think the Browns can't do what they did last year or a couple years ago and trade away their pick when you had Wentz and Goff available.
Yeah.
Both of their 1 and 2. And I agree completely with you guys. I mean, Darnold, yes, but if they go Rosen, it's not the worst thing in the world. Regardless, they have somebody to build around, and that's the most important thing because they have some pieces on defense. They have some weapons on offense as well. They just need, they're missing the most important piece.
Little fun fact for you guys. The last quarterback to win a game on a Sunday, not a Monday or Thursday, on a Sunday for the Browns is Johnny Manziel. Hasn't been in the NFL in 2 years now?
That's nuts.
Since Josh Gordon got suspended, I think.
That's a good one.
I think so that tells you something right there. But they've been a mess of a franchise. You know what? I'm rooting for them. I want to see the Browns succeed. I'm sick of seeing them at the bottom of the standings. I want to see change.
Well, they do have 4 picks in the top 40, so you figure after a year or two, those players will be fully developed, or developed at least a little bit. And, you know.
I hope so. Imagine that AFC North and the Browns can compete with the Steelers, the Ravens, and the Bengals. Yeah. That would be one scary division.
But I feel like by the time the Browns are that good, the Steelers won't be where they're at anymore, and the Ravens probably won't either.
Big Ben will have been retired. Big Ben will have died.
Le'Veon Bell
50 years down the road.
AJ Green with Cincinnati, he ain't going to be around anymore.
Yeah, right?
All right, well, coming up next, we are going to go into some college football. We're going to talk about some college football games, and we're going to play a little game coming up right here next on BTH.
You're listening to Between the Hash Marks with James Koklak and Sean McCabe, brought to you by an unknown sponsor we don't have yet. Now back to the show.
And welcome back to Between the Hash Marks. We just gave you some information about the Giants. What are they doing with their front office? The Browns, what the hell are they doing with their front office? But right now, we're going to pick our college bowl games, our notable college bowl games. But first, I have a little surprise for you guys. We're going to do a bowl game here. It's a game for all the college bowls, not all of them. I have 13 games right here. 13 names of bowl games. And you have to guess whether it's a real bowl game or if it's a fake bowl game.
I hope none of the names involve food because I am starving. I want crab rangoons, man. I really want Chinese food. Like, I can't get it out of my mind right now. So bear with me.
All right. And the winner will get this American Sports Network hockey puck. I used to work. They were an affiliate of Sinclair Broadcasting, where I work right now, and they are no longer. So they were giving out all this merchandise, and I have a couple of extra hockey pucks, and I'll give one to the winner.
Can't wait to put it on my wall.
All right. So the first game, and we're gonna write this down here. Just write yes or no if it's real or fake. I'll give you all like 3 or 4 seconds. First game, the Auto Nation Car Cure Bowl. Write it down. What do we got here? Alrighty. It is. Everybody got an answer? It is not a bowl. The real name is the Auto Nation Cure Bowl, not the Auto Nation Car Cure Bowl. This is between the 6-6 Western Kentucky whoever and the 6-5 Georgia State in Orlando, Florida. So we got a no for you, a no for James, a no for Eddie, and Nick. That's a yes. All right. So Nick and Eddie get a point. Second game. Sorry, I messed that up. James and Eddie get it one. My bad, James. No, you know what? I had it written. I mixed up the order how I wrote it.
I want that puck, damn it!
You got a point. Nick, you don't get a point. Sean, I had it written in the wrong order, so on my paper, and I'm just, my bad.
Dude, what did I pay you off for?
James with 1, Eddie with 1, Nick with 0.
Sean,
My fault.
I think you owe James some crab rangoons after that.
I could settle for some game. All the points you want.
Game number 2. We have the Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl. Here we go.
If that's real, it's in Tampa, though.
Here we go. You all wrote an answer? It is a bowl game. It is between 6-6 Temple and 8-4 Florida International in St. Petersburg, Florida, in the Trop.
They got a bunch of bad boys on those teams.
And all of you wrote no. All of you wrote no for this one. So no points.
Gasparilla.
Say that again. Does that sound real?
It is the Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl.
All right. Somebody paid for that to be an advertisement of a bowl.
Absolutely. Some lawnmower company.
Whoever's doing the grass for that game, clearly.
And it's in Tropicana Field. They don't even have real grass. So,
oh, jeez.
All right. Third game. The Cherry Bundy Tart Cherry Boca Raton Bowl. Is it real or is it fake? We got an answer from James. We got an answer from Eddie. We got an answer from Nick. It is a bowl game. It is. That is the actual sponsor for the Boca Raton Bowl game. And I thought you were gonna ruin it when we were prepping 5 minutes ago. I was like, James, shut up. But yes, that is the game between.
That's why I said it was like 10 words and not the actual thing. But I didn't realize it was really 10 words. It's like.
But that is the game between the 7-6 Akron Zips and the Florida Atlantic Owls 10-3 in Boca.
What name is the Zips?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe because they get shut out so much, 41 to zip. So maybe that's it. But they are 7-6. They didn't make it to a bowl game. So right now, none of you guys get points for that. So we're still at James 1, Eddie 1, Nick 0. Fourth game.
If we tie, you can have the puck and I'll take the crab rangoons.
Fourth game. The Beef O'Brady's Bowl. Let's see what we got here. Everybody got an answer? Alright, everybody has an answer. It is not a bowl game. This was a bowl game that was played in St. Petersburg from 2010 to 2013, but has not been a bowl game from 2014 on. Yeah.
I knew it was a bowl game.
Yeah, it was a bowl game.
That sounds
I
familiar.
had to throw some trickery in there for you guys. This isn't an easy game. So Nick, you put yes.
I'm
James,
0 for
you
4.
put yes. Eddie takes the lead.
Oh man, that puck's calling my name.
Fifth game. The famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Bowl game or not. Famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Yes or no? What do we got here? James, your answer's in. Eddie, your answer's in. Nick, what are you doing with your phone? Put your damn phone down. You can't use phones during this segment.
I'm looking at the odds.
No,
that's
no,
a fine.
All of them wrong.
That's a fine.
No. You cannot look at your phone during this segment. Nick's trying to cheat. No good. Everybody's got an answer? All right. Yes, it is a bowl game. It is between 8-4 Central Michigan and 7-5 Wyoming in Boise, Idaho on the Smurf turf.
Probably why I don't know about it.
But it's been a bowl game for a few years now. It's kind of crazy. But what do we have here? James, you put no. Eddie, you put no. You put yes. Nick, you're on the board.
Back in the game.
Back in the game.
Winning that damn puck.
So after 5, we have Eddie with 2, James and Nick with 1. Game number 6. The Outdoor World Texas Bowl. Is it a bowl? Is it not a bowl? Get our answers in.
I'm pretty sure I know
here.
what this bowl game is.
Get our answers in. All right, we have our answers in. No, it is not a bowl game. It is the real name of this game
Outdoor
is
camping?
No, it's not. It is Academy Sports and Outdoors Texas Bowl. This is between 6-6 Texas and 7-5 Missouri. Yeah.
Isn't there one that's the outside camping bowl in like Orlando?
Yes, there is actually that game. But is that going to be on this list? I don't. You didn't get it right, this one right, so I don't care if you know all the other ones that aren't. No, you did actually get this right. Look at you. Look at you. James gets a point. Eddie, what do you got? You put yes. Nope, not for you. Nick, look at you.
Back on the
All
board.
right, we
all tied up.
We are all tied up after 6 games, 2 apiece. Game number.
What does Nick get and Eddie get if we all tie? Because I know I'm getting mine.
Jeez, all right. We'll have to come up with a tiebreaker real quick here, or I'll just keep the damn puck. Game number 7. The Walk-Ons Independence Bowl. Is it a bowl? Is it not a bowl? We got our answers in. All right. Yes, it is a bowl game. It is between 8-4 Southern Mississippi and 6-6 Florida State down in Louisiana. Florida State was afraid to play FAU.
Yes, they
were. What do we have here? James, you get a point. Eddie?
Falling apart.
Falling apart. Choking. Nick, look at you on
Just
the
like
comeback.
the Giants.
Look
Oh man, sounds like it.
So after 7, we have Nick with 3, James with 3, and Eddie with 2. Game number 8. The Military Bowl presented by Northrop Grumman. Is that a bowl? Is that not a bowl? The Military Bowl presented by Northrop Grumman. Yes or no? Picks are in. We have our picks in. Yes, it is a bowl game. It is between 6-6 Virginia and 6-5 Navy in Annapolis.
Shout out to my girlfriend. She works at Northrop Grumman.
Well, there you go. So you had an inside scoop on that. All right. I see you. All right, Nick, you got that one correct. James, you got that one correct. Eddie, what's going on?
That's it. Downhill.
All right, game number 9. We have the Franklin American Mortgage. Sorry, let me repeat this. The Franklin American Mortgage Music City Bowl. Is it a bowl game? Is it not a bowl game? Picks are in. Yes, it is a bowl game. It's between 7-5 Kentucky and 9-3 number 21 Northwestern in Nashville, Tennessee. Everybody got it wrong. No points for anybody.
What are you talking about?
That's a no. I see it over there.
Looks like the Yankee symbol, actually.
All right, game number 10. The Credit Union Home Loans Arizona Bowl. Is it a bowl? Is it not a bowl? Let's get our answers in. We got our answers in. Answers are in. No, it is not a bowl game. The real name of this game is the Nova Home Loans Arizona Bowl, not Credit Union Home Loans. It is between 6-6 New Mexico State and 6-6 Utah State in Tucson, Arizona.
Where did you get that name from?
There were 2 bowl games. One was the Nova Home Loans Bowl, and one was the Credit Union something other bowl.
So you just combined.
And I just switched them. I just switched one around, and I was like, let's do this, and confuse everybody.
You know it's bad in America when you have to have a credit union as a sponsor for one of the bowl games.
Right? So what do we have here? James, that was wrong. Nick, that's a point for you. Eddie?
Oh, yeah.
Look at you, Eddie, coming back. Right now, after 10, we have Nick with 5, James with 4, Eddie with 3. 3 games left. Here we go. Game number 11. The Citrus Bowl presented by Overton's. Yeah. The Citrus Bowl presented by Overton's. Is it a game? Is it a bowl game? Is it not? We got our answers in. Yes, it is a bowl game. It is between Notre Dame, 9-3 Notre Dame, and 9-3 LSU. How are we looking here, Eddie? Not a point. What do we got, James? James, no. Nick, everybody got it wrong.
It's like a mix between an N and a Y.
Everybody got it wrong. All right, we still have Nick in the lead, James in second, Eddie in third. Game number 12, the Dollar General Bowl. Is it a bowl game? Is it not a bowl game? Get your answers in. Answers are in. And it is a bowl game. It is between 8-4 Appalachian State and 11-2 Toledo in Mobile, Alabama. Everybody got that one wrong again. Wow, Nick, you are 1 game away from winning this puck.
James,
better not.
What are you picking on this last one?
So we have this final game. Is it a bowl game or is it not? Game number 13. The Raycom Media Camellia Bowl.
God damn it.
Is it a bowl game? Is it not a bowl game? What do we got here? Get your answers in. James, move your hand. Let me see what you got. Okay, what do we got here?
Can I get the origin?
What do you mean, can you get the origin?
This isn't the spelling bee on ESPN. It's Greek.
What do we got here? All right, answers are in. Yes, it is a bowl game between 6-6 Middle Tennessee and 7-4 Arkansas State and Montgomery, Alabama. What do we got, Nick? Nick chose no. Oh, Eddie chose no.
Because I didn't get the origin.
All right, did James tie it up? Yes or no? No, he did not. And we have a champion. Nick Angiolilli is our 2017 bowl name game champion. Here you are, sir. An American Sports Network hockey puck. Put that up in your memorabilia room.
My life.
There you go. That's what it's for. And now we are going into the more important part of these bowl games. Even though I think these bowl name games. I just want to make a quick point here. the reason why I wanted to do this is to just show you how ridiculous some of these bowl game names are. And I picked, out of the 13 games that I had here, 13 names, 9 of them were real bowls. 4 of them were fake. So out of all those games, 9 of them are actually going on. Those are the real sponsors for these games. Those are the real names for these games. And that's absolutely ridiculous in my mind.
What's even more ridiculous is that they have 40 bowl games and teams that are 5 and 7 are playing for a bowl, aka Florida State. So, whoo!
But now, going into our important college bowl games, we're not going to go through every single one of them. There's, like James just said, there's like 40 of them. But we're going to be going over...
Including the national champion.
Yeah, including the national champion. But we're going to be going over the main ones that we have here. And I want to open up with the most important bowl game in this entire bowl season. The Cherry Bundy Tart Cherry Boca Raton Bowl between the Akron Zips and the Florida Atlantic University Owls. This is one of the most important games. I'm super hyped into it. Who do you guys got?
Oh, I got Akron.
No way.
No, I'm just kidding. I got FAU. It's right here on my paper.
All right.
Lane Kiffin's really turned that team around.
Yeah.
They're believing in him. He's a phenomenal offensive coach. We talked about it earlier. They have a top 10 offense this year. So they're on the up and coming. I'm sure one day they'd love to be in a Power 5. I don't see it happening anytime soon.
Not anytime soon.
But they're definitely rising, a rising star in the college football world.
Yeah, Eddie, what do you got?
Absolutely. I took FAU.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin. You got to. I mean, come on. We're all from Florida, right?
Yeah, no, we're all fans.
We all got to be
FAU alumni.
We got to go. We got to go for FAU.
My sister goes there.
Also, you know who impresses me is Singletary.
He's
back.
Yeah, no, he's gonna be a pro back. He's definitely gonna be a pro back. I also have FAU. I you know what? I got my FAU shirt on right now.
Repping them.
And tell me what it says in the back of this shirt right here.
Get on the Lane train.
That's right. Get on the Lane train. I've been on the Lane train since day one, and I'm never hopping off. Lane, never leave Florida Atlantic. Nick, tell me you got Florida Atlantic in this game.
I mean, the spread's 22.5 now.
Yeah.
Anybody picking Akron money line is ridiculous. FAU's won 9 straight games, haven't scored under 30 in any of those 9. They're on fire, and I just see it continuing.
Yeah, very well. Clean sweep across the board. All right, now we're getting into some actual...
Wait a second.
What's up?
Wait a second. I think FAU's getting a little ahead of themselves, though. At least their fans.
What?
Because we know what their fans were chanting at the end of the last game.
What were they chanting? Oh, yeah.
We want Bama.
Hey.
And even Lane Kiffin came out and was like, well, slow your roll a little bit there.
Well, Lane Kiffin said he wants Bama, but he said he feels bad for his players. Yeah.
Because his players would get beat up.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just thought that was a little funny, but you know what? I love the confidence.
Yeah, absolutely,
I just wanted to throw out that little joke.
But there's a certain kind of swagger at FAU right now. I've been to, I think there's been 7 home games, including the conference championship game, and I think I went to 5 of them. And there is definitely a huge momentum shift in how the fans feel about Florida Atlantic this year. But going on to an actual real game here, we have Michigan State, number 16 Michigan State, against number 18 Washington State. Nick, who do you got?
I got Michigan State in this game. Washington State started out pretty hot this year, but they're 3-3 in their last 6. They have a blowout loss to Cal, losing 37-3, and they lost 58-37 to Arizona. They're not in the top 40 in points allowed or opponents' points allowed, and Michigan State has looked pretty good. I mean, they have wins over Penn State, Michigan, and Iowa, and their losses aren't that bad. They're to Northwestern, which has been a surprisingly good team this year, Ohio State, and Notre Dame. So I have Michigan State pretty handily in this game.
Eddie, who do you got?
I got Michigan State as well. I think Michigan State's kind of going to mop the floor with Washington State, to be honest with you. Michigan State, they've been a little iffy here and there, but I think they're actually going to put it together this game and beat Washington State pretty good.
You change?
I got Washington State, and reason B, and I know that it happened a couple of years ago, but when Michigan State comes, they were terrible last year. They didn't play in a bowl game. 2 years ago, they were in the limelight, right? They make the college football playoff, and what happens? They get wiped with the floor.
Yeah.
And they didn't deserve to be in the top tier. They don't belong there. D'Antonio's a good coach, but you know what? When the bright lights come on, Michigan State seems to shut down a little bit. I'm going to take Washington State here. I know they haven't been great with their quarterback.
quarterback was great to start the season. They do have a win over USC, and that's a pretty big opponent. So, you know what? Washington State.
I actually took Michigan State in this game, and look, Mike Leach of Washington State, he's a great coach, but he has a weird offense, and when teams only have 1 week to prepare for that offense, it's tough for them, and they take advantage of that, teams not being prepared.
That air raid.
Yeah, exactly, but when you have a lot of time to prepare for a weird offense, over the course of bowl games over the past few years, those teams that had the weird offense, they didn't do as well because it's kind of a phony offense. It's kind of, the trick plays are phony, and Mike Leach loves running those kinds of plays. And I think D'Antonio, he really knows how to buckle down in these kind of games. Yes, you did allude to him getting wiped clean by Alabama, but they were out of their league in that game, and that's fair. I mean, they beat Iowa in that Big Ten championship game that year, and those two teams really didn't belong in that situation at all. But give me Michigan State. By the way, because you were asking about it, that was the San Diego County Credit Union Holiday Bowl. That's one that I was thinking about putting, but that's the one I switched up with the Nova Bowl. Next game here, we have Oklahoma State and Virginia Tech in the Camping World Bowl. This is the one you were talking about, James. The Camping World Bowl in Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida. James, what do you think about this bowl game?
I got OK State, and you know what? Virginia Tech, they're decent, and you know what? They got a pretty good defense, and Miami's not great by any means. I mean, they've looked pretty good all year, and we talked about this last week. I said that they didn't deserve to be in the top 10 at any point this season. They don't have a top 40 offense or a top 40 defense, and I think they took advantage of their schedule. And that being said, I mean, yes, it was a close game, but Virginia Tech doesn't impress me.
Yeah.
Losing their coach a couple years ago, longtime coach, has really affected that team in a sense. And OK State, they got Mason Rudolph. He's a veteran quarterback per se in college football. He's got experience. They got a good offense. They play in the Pac-12, not the Pac-12, the Big 12, where offense is king. And I expect this to be a pretty close game, but OK State.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with OK State. I think Virginia Tech is highly overrated. They had 2 big games this year, and they got blown out in both of them. And they didn't look like they even close to belonged in those games. I think Oklahoma State's going to kill them. I think it's going to be 15, 20-point game here. Eddie, who do you got?
I actually took Virginia Tech.
Okay.
Being a Miami fan, I had to go with the underdog here, like James was saying. The offense of Oklahoma State's solid, but you never know when that Virginia Tech defense is going to show up. That's the only thing with them. When Miami was playing them, we didn't know if that defense was going to show up or not. So I think maybe this bowl game might be important enough for them to actually put that together. I mean, it's a bowl game, This is your Super Bowl, per se, for college football. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Virginia Tech on this one.
All right, Nick, who do you got between Virginia Tech and Oklahoma State?
I'm on the Oklahoma State train here. I mean, now, I will give credit to Virginia Tech. They had the 6th best defense in for points allowed this season. But they did let a Miami offense put up 28 on them. And they haven't looked great this year. Now with Oklahoma State, they have 1 game this entire year scoring under 30 points. Mason Rudolph has been amazing this year, and that 1 game was a game against Texas, who also has a very good defense, and they ended up winning that game. So Oklahoma State can definitely put up points. Virginia Tech's offense isn't even in the top 60 this year. I don't see them being able to keep up with Oklahoma State.
All right. We have 3 on Oklahoma State, 1 on Virginia Tech. Next game, we have the Valero Alamo Bowl between Stanford and TCU. Eddie, I'm going to start with you on this one. Who do you got?
I actually picked Stanford for this one. I think Stanford is going to put it together. Stanford's always been a very good team. And they've always been that, like the head coach, Shaw. He always puts the team together that he always has, and he always finds a way to put it together the way it should be, and they always find a way to win games. McCaffrey had McCaffrey last year, and McCaffrey really put it together. He knows how to utilize the players that he has the right way, and he'll find a way to win that game against TCU, I think.
All right, Nick, who do you got?
This game, I think, is going to be pretty close. As the spread indicates, it's only a 2.5-point spread in favor of TCU, and I like TCU for this game. I mean, Stanford has looked good. Bryce Love is a Heisman candidate, but TCU is sixth against the run this year, and Kenny Trill has looked pretty solid this season. I mean, they've had up and down games, but overall their offense has looked pretty good, and he's led them to a 10-3 record. I just see TCU's defense being too stifling for Stanford, and them putting up points on them.
All right, James, who do you have in Stanford against TCU?
I've got TCU, and reason being is that we talked about the Big 12 being this offensive powerhouse of a conference, and then you got TCU, who can put up points, but they can also play defense. And yeah, I know they didn't really compare to Oklahoma. They lost to Oklahoma twice this season, if I'm correct. So they bring a swagger with them that no other Big 12 team brings, and I think that they're not only are they underrated, but I think that they don't get the respect because they're not that big Texas school, even though they're in Texas. But I love this team. Gary Patterson as a head coach is awesome for them. I like TCU in this game.
Yeah, no, I also like TCU. I think they're going to win this game. This is essentially a home game for TCU. They're playing this game in San Antonio, Texas, which is like 2 hours away from Texas Christian University. They're going, so yeah, all the fans are going to be there. Football is huge in Texas. They have nothing else to do. They're all going to be at this game. Stanford, they have great fans, but they don't travel well at all. And I don't see them doing really well because I don't think they'll have any support. I know. Shaw has had success in bowl games over the last 5 years. I believe he's 4-1. But my concern is with Bryce Love and his health. He will play, but will he be 100%? I like Stanford in that game against USC because I thought Bryce Love was going to actually play well, but he didn't even play at all. I mean, he barely played at all. And in those crucial moments when they were 3rd and goal and 4th and goal on the 1, basically, or on the 2, they didn't even run Bryce Love at all. So that really concerns me. Is he going to be healthy or not? So with all those factors, I just have to take TCU.
I want to throw this out there really quickly.
Go ahead.
TCU has a top 20 defense. They're ranked 19th in the country. That's impressive. Playing in the back Big 12.
Absolutely.
I keep getting them confused for some reason. Big 12 is so offensive, and to have a top 20 defense in that conference is unbelievable. And we already know they have a high-powered offense too. Stanford's defense is not rated in the top 50. I think that this game won't be as close as people are projecting it to be.
Sean, I have one gripe with what you said. How dare you say there's nothing to do in Texas? You can go to the Alamo, get some good Mexican-American history, go to the Riverwalk.
Yeah, okay, but if you are at TCU, there's nothing else to do besides watch there's nothing else to do in TCU besides watch college football, so they're going to be going to that game. Next game here, we have the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic between USC and Ohio State. James, who do you got?
I'm going with the upset. USC is going to take down Ohio State. It's going to be JT Barrett's last game. But you know what? I think Ohio State is really
Maybe Sam Darnold's last game.
It's very true. You know what? But USC is kind of going in on their high horse. They knew they weren't getting into the playoffs. Where Ohio State is kind of now in a mindset they're settling for this game. I don't think that they're going to be as prepared, even with Urban Meyer as a head coach. I think USC sneaks by and just sneaks past Ohio State. Although Ohio State is still respectable. I mean, they got a top 10 defense in the country, number 8 to be exact. And I hate to harp on defense, but offense wins you games and defense wins you championships. And this is not a championship, but in a sense, it's their championship. So it could be tough, but I think USC sneaks out with a win.
Who do you got between Ohio State and USC?
I took USC. I think that Ohio State has shown at times that they can't handle the big spotlight. They have lost a few games this year that they had no business losing, and they have also, there was one game, I forgot who they had played, they came back, they were getting smoked by an unranked team, and they ended up coming back and winning the game. How, I don't know, because I remember watching that game as well, but I know that they're vulnerable, Ohio State. And I think USC, with Sam Darnold, they can put it together. So I wouldn't be surprised if USC put this game together. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think USC can put it together and beat Ohio State. And Ohio State's going to say, excuse me, we weren't ranked, we weren't ready for the game. They're going to come out with something if they lose. But I think USC is going to be the better team here in this game.
All right, I'm going to go here. I have Ohio State over USC, and I've looked at one major stat. Urban Meyer is 44-4 straight up when he's a favorite, and Ohio State is a 7-point favorite in this game. I don't know what percentage that is, but that seems pretty good to me, and that's really all I need. I do like your point, though, with USC that Ohio State, they were expecting to get into the playoff, and they're not. I mean, the rest of America knew they weren't getting into the playoff, but for some reason, Ohio State's delusional fan base that we were talking about last week.
And even their and Urban Meyer can't tell their players, like, look, you have a certain mindset.
Yeah.
It's hard to take that and say, how am I going to go out there and give it my all when this isn't even the game I want to play in?
But I want to make the argument that USC going into this season had playoff aspirations, and they were completely diminished within the first couple weeks of the season. Yes, they've really bounced back since that Notre Dame loss, and they're probably excited to be in this game.
That Notre Dame blowout.
Yeah, exactly. Notre Dame blowout. And we've seen Notre Dame lately. They're not even really a good team, to be honest with you. But Nick, who do you got?
I have Ohio State as well. I mean, both sides of the ball, they've been top 25, and Ohio State is a top 30 pass and run offense. And honestly, both teams have been tested this year. Having USC play Wisconsin and UCLA, but Ohio State's played some pretty tough competition in Wisconsin at Michigan, and a 45-point win at Michigan State. And they also had that game against Penn State as well. It's going to be a close game, and I think there's value if you're taking money lines with USC being plus 230, but if it's a straight up bet, I'm going to have to go with Ohio State.
That is our first game where we actually are split right down the middle. With Nick and I are on Ohio State, James and Eddie are on USC.
Well, now that we're split down the middle, how close do we think this game's going to be? Because I think that USC is just going to sneak by.
I think it's a field goal game.
Yeah, no, I think USC will cover the 7-point spread, but I mean, I don't know. I don't have the number in front of me, but Urban Meyer is great against the spread when he's a favorite as well. So it's a 7-point spread right now. I think Ohio State's going to win. Let's say 4. I'll make it 28-24.
USC is 3-9-1 against the spread this year. That's why I took Ohio State minus 6.5, and I made sure to get it before that 7.
Very good. All right. Next game, we have the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl between number 11 Washington and number 9 Penn State in Phoenix, Arizona, Glendale, Arizona. I'm going to go first with this game here since I'm a Penn State guy. I love Penn State. But I'm actually going with Washington here. And I'll tell you why. I'm really worried about the offensive coordinator, Joe Moorhead, leaving for Mississippi State. He's the offensive coordinator for Penn State. And if you look back to last season when Penn State beat Ohio State, before that game, they were all calling for James Franklin's head to basically get him out of here. And honestly, up to that point, I mean, they got blown out by Michigan.
They hadn't really done much.
Exactly. They lost to Pittsburgh. He honestly he did a lot worse than up to that point than Bill O'Brien. And Bill O'Brien left kind of, not in shambles, but I mean, he did a little bit. But when they hired Joe Moorhead last year, that offense really finally started clicking. It was really after that Ohio State game, because the Ohio State game, they didn't really put up much offense at all. But him not being there really makes me concerned for this game. I mean, the spread right now, it's only Penn State 1.5 point favorite, and I got to take Washington here. James, what do you got?
I'm going with Penn State strictly because I like James Franklin as a head coach.
Yeah.
I think he's got full control over that team. I think that the players rally around him. I think that he's relatable to his team. And you know what? He's a fiery guy in a sense. You ever see him talking on TV and doing interviews? He's always peppy, and just the way he talks and the way he presents himself, it kind of pumps me up. I can only imagine how it pumps his players up. You know what? Saquon Barkley's not playing, but Trace McSorley he's not, I wouldn't say he's great, but he's the real deal. He gets the job done, and he's a veteran quarterback in college. And
you saw McSorley's not playing. He's for sure not playing. Or sorry, not McSorley, but Barkley's definitely not playing.
Barkley is not playing.
Yeah, then I'm definitely leaning towards Washington.
Barkley, I'm almost positive I saw it. Him and somebody else are not playing.
I mean, it makes sense because, we saw Fournette, we saw McCaffrey sit out their bowl game last year. I mean, if you're going to the NFL draft, there's no way you want to hurt yourself and lose out on all this money. All right, so you got Penn State. Eddie, what do you got?
I want Penn State, too. To be completely honest with you, I didn't even know Saquon Barkley wasn't playing when I picked the game. So now, I hear the standpoint with
Hey, you're allowed to change your mind.
with Barkley not playing. I don't know, but like Trace McSorley, like James was saying, Trace McSorley has shown up for his game. He has
He's a baller.
Yeah, he's proved himself. So I'm going to stick with Penn State. Even without Saquon Barkley, you never know. They might actually show up and they might win this game.
All right, Nick, who you got?
All signs, looking at the statistics, lead for me to pick Penn State. They've been top 10 in points for and points allowed. And their 2 losses have been by a combined 4 points to good teams. The rest have been blowout wins for them. But one thing I love about Washington, and even if Saquon Barkley was playing, I'd still pick Washington, is because they're number 1 against the run this year. Number 1 in the entire nation. And I know McSorley is good, but if you can shut down Saquon Barkley and hold him in check and keep a spy on him, especially in the pass game as well, Washington's defense has been very opportunistic and in creating turnovers, and Jake Browning's been pretty decent for them on the offensive side of the ball. I think Washington gets it done.
Now, I'm actually reading something different right now.
Okay.
I'm reading that 2 days ago, Saquon Barkley says he won't make NFL draft decision until after Fiesta Bowl.
Okay, so that means does that mean he's playing, or is that?
And Saquon Barkley on November 18th vows to play in Penn State's bowl game.
Okay.
But
still,
everything that I
regardless.
am hearing up until now has been that he's not going to play, does not want to get injured in this game, which would be smart.
Yeah.
You know what?
I don't blame
Sam
him.
Darnold and Josh Rosen would be smart too to not play, because why risk an injury, an ACL injury, something freak happening, and that they're going to be the top 2 picks in the draft, so I can understand it.
Well, if I'm Sam Darnold, then I'm still 50-50. I'm going to play in this bowl game.
Well,
So
that's
I'm
different. But if you're 100% going to the draft,
Yeah.
I like the skipping of the
Okay.
bowl games because, college is fun, yes, and I love watching college football, but you got a whole career ahead of you at this point, and real football, not that college is fake, but professional football.
Yeah, this bowl game really means nothing.
Nothing to
essentially.
his career.
Yeah, exactly. So another split game right down the middle, 2-2. Next game we have is the Capital One Orange Bowl right down here in Miami, Florida, at the Hard Rock Stadium, between the Wisconsin Badgers, number 6 Wisconsin Badgers, against the number 10 Miami Hurricanes. Eddie, you're a Hurricanes fan. Who you got?
No, even as a Hurricanes fan, I got to go with Wisconsin.
Whoa.
With Miami, especially the last 2 games they've played, Clemson, forget about it. That wasn't even a football game.
I'm going to make
I
a
don't know what
bold
that was.
statement and say that Miami's going to get shut out.
Basically a home game?
They're playing the number 1. I'm a Bama fan. Everybody knows that. They're the number 2 defense. Wisconsin has the number 1 defense in the nation right now. And Miami's offense isn't even in the top 40. What did they put up? 3 points against Clemson? Clemson's defense isn't a number 1 defense. It's good, but it's not number 1. Yeah. Wisconsin's got the number 1 defense in the country.
But who has Wisconsin played besides Ohio State?
Ohio State. They played Michigan, though. They have played decent teams. We talked about this.
Yeah.
I've ragged
Maryland,
on
Rutgers,
but they did. They held Ohio State somewhat in check.
Yeah, no.
They still have a number 1 defense, and they're not going up against a number 1 offense. So they're going up against a team that I personally think is average. They're on the right track. I think that they were ahead of schedule right now.
Okay.
But that's my bold prediction.
All right, so you both have Wisconsin.
I definitely have Wisconsin. I just know with all the receivers, all of Miami's receivers being injured, and Rozier has nobody to throw to, and then if you shut down Homer, who's a very good running back when he's
Palm Beach County,
when he has space to run, and there's receivers that take pressure off of him. Homer does his thing, and Miami looks good. But without those receivers, he's not doing anything. He's just not going to be able to do anything. But
Stack the box and then it's over.
And that's it. The game's over, and the defense really hasn't stepped up either for Miami lately too. So I'm
Nick,
taking
what do you
Wisconsin.
think?
I have Wisconsin as well, and to your point, James, as well, them being the best defense in the nation. The only game they lost was a 6-point loss to Ohio State, and they were in that game the entire game. Miami has not looked well. They peaked at the wrong time, and it's just downhill for them.
For me, I have Wisconsin. Clean sweep. We're 4-0. We all have Wisconsin here. But the thing that kind of detracts me a little bit from Wisconsin is that they were one drive away from being in the college football playoff. So this game is kind of a letdown. This game isn't even going to be played on New Year's Day. This is going to be played a couple of days before New Year's Day. It's not the New Year's Day Bowl. It's not that kind. It doesn't have that kind of hysteria towards it. And Miami has actually been good against ranked teams at home this year, and this is a Miami home game. I know it's a neutral field, but this isn't the Hard Rock Stadium where the Miami Hurricanes play all of their damn games. But also, I want to say, I'm not going to be surprised if this crowd is... I'd be surprised if this crowd was not 50-50 because Wisconsin, their fans are nutcases and they travel really, really well.
Something else to take into consideration is the Miami team, are they down on themselves? Like, they were playing well, they're playing well.
They were a game away.
One game away, and they play a real team in Clemson, and they get the doors blown off.
Well, but is that worse? Is that worse than being one drive away from being in the playoff?
I think Wisconsin has something to prove, though, because Wisconsin,
okay,
they want to show everybody, look, we lost this game by 6 points. We thought we should be in the playoffs, and now we're going to prove it. We're going to go out and beat Miami by 50, or we're going to shut Miami out. They have something to prove. Where Miami, they're still up and coming.
Okay.
Did anybody in this room see Miami being where they were today with the season that they had going into the season?
I thought they would finish in the top 15, 10th. I don't, top 10 probably not, but like 15, 14, 13.
So they overachieved in a sense.
Yeah.
I expect Miami, they're on the right track. Miami is going to be a good team. Miami
Eddie,
football is coming.
What did you think going into this year, how good the Hurricanes would end up
I figured
being?
we were going to be ranked. I honestly didn't think we were going to be in the top 10, though, to be completely honest with you. You know, I knew we were on the right track, but I think, like James said, we're up and coming. I think at one point when they had us ranked number 2, I think we were way overrated because I knew going in to play that Clemson game, man. I was like, you know what? Maybe they've been showing up for all these ranked games. They showed up for Notre Dame. They showed up for Virginia Tech. They were showing up for big games. The Notre Dame game being the biggest game of the year that we had, and we blew them out.
Yeah.
So we had no business even blowing them out like that, but we did. We showed up. But
well, the thing is, this is going to be a night game too. So that if that first turnover happens, I might want to change my mind on this game because these boys when they get the turnover chain, they just get more lit, and then it's like there's no stopping them.
Well, see, the thing is too, on top of just the turnover chain, when that team gets going, that crowd is the rowdiest home crowd college football game I have ever been to. They are absolutely insane.
Yeah,
absolutely insane.
That's the thing. That's the thing that I'm alluding to here. I don't think it's going to be a true, even though it's a true Miami home game. I want to say 45-50% of this crowd is going to be Wisconsin because they just travel so damn well.
Yep.
But so Sean, let me ask you something real quick. You've been pretty high on Miami recently. I mean, with your comments, do you think they cover the 6.5 point spread?
Do they cover 6.5? See, this is the kind of game where I would want to do it in game because if I see them get a turnover in that first quarter, then I'm gonna take Miami to cover 6.5. But if they can't, and you know what, we've talked about this a lot when we do our sports betting. Turnovers are a lot of luck based.
Yep.
It's maybe 75% luck, 25% skill, depending on what kind of turnover it is. Mm-hmm. So if they get that turnover, if they're having those turnovers fall their way, I mean, it's going to change the game, and I think they can win the game. But do I think they're the better team than Wisconsin? Absolutely not. And I mean, if you put a gun to my head right now, I'd say I'd take Wisconsin plus or minus 6.5.
Okay.
Unless that game's going to end 6-0, Wisconsin all day.
Going on to the next game, we have the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, number 12 UCF against number 7 Auburn in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. Nick, we're going to start with you. Who do you got?
I have Auburn in this game, and this is not a surprise, but really, this game comes down to Kerryon Johnson. You see, in the two Auburn games, in the two Georgia games Auburn played, in the 23-point win against Georgia, Kerryon has 32 carries. In the 21-point loss, he only has 13 carries. If Auburn can utilize Kerryon Johnson well, and their defense is top 10 in points allowed, and really keep the other offense off the field, forcing them in 3-and-outs or maybe short drives, I think they can really get it done. They've had And also UCF is 65th against the run. So, I mean, Auburn has a clear path to victory here. It's all a matter of can they utilize it.
I think he's got to be healthy, though. He did get injured against Alabama, so that definitely hampered his appearance or his game and the way he's a physical runner.
Oh, for sure.
So being that type of runner and having a shoulder injury, it was a shoulder injury that when he got hurt in the Alabama game the week prior, that I think is part of the reason why Auburn lost. And if he's not healthy, give me UCF. And right now he's not healthy. I don't know how healthy he's going to be. And UCF is just this story tale. And I believe in those story tales in sports. And the Las Vegas Golden Knights in hockey are doing phenomenal right now. As just a little stat about that, they already have, I think, 16 wins on the season. And when the Atlanta Thrashers came into the league in 2000, they had 16 wins all season. So they're doing really well. It's story tales like that, and I believe in the UCF story tale this year. And Scott Frost is going to go out with a bang here, and then he'll go on to be Nebraska's head coach. Which, funny story, Mike Golick this morning said, we'll be back right here on Mike and Mike. And before that, he introduced Scott Frost as the new Alabama head coach. So it was just
wonders all around.
Total.
So is Scott Frost actually going to coach this game?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
I think
because if he's going to coach this game, then I am on UCF to pull off this upset. I know Auburn's a 9.5-point favorite, and I'll take UCF. If Scott Frost is coaching this game, I'll take UCF. And UCF is kind of this team. They're out to prove something. They're 12-0. They didn't get any respect all year. They dominated pretty much everybody they played. Except the last 2 games of the year, they were a little shaky, but they're putting up mad points. And I don't think Auburn has the defense to really stop them on a consistent basis. I don't think they're going to keep them from getting 24, 25 points. And I could see UCF putting up 30 or maybe into the 40s. We saw them a few years back when they played Baylor. I think it was in the Fiesta Bowl. And everybody had Baylor winning this game. Everybody had Baylor just creaming UCF. And UCF does the opposite. I think they win by like 2 touchdowns or something like that.
Crazy how the world works, though. Baylor was amazing.
Yeah.
Art Briles was a good football coach.
Yeah, right.
They're 11-0 or 12-0. And UCF is 0-12 2 years ago.
Yeah, no,
and now look at Baylor. They're 1-11 this year.
It's honestly
and UCF's 12-0.
Only win versus Kansas.
I don't know how you know that, but
You just said a bad beat there. Eddie, who do you got, UCF Auburn?
You know what I think this game's going to come out to? It's going to be an offensive game. I think it's going to end up being another UCF-USF game. Just another one of those shootout games, and it's going to be...
game of the year.
And I think Auburn's going to come out on top. Auburn has shown up for big games, and we've seen it this year. They really have shown up. UCF has had a very good season, but the games they've had haven't been the toughest. They haven't had the toughest schedule. So I'm just going to take Auburn over UCF.
All right, if Frost does not play, if Frost does not coach, I really don't. I don't like it if he doesn't play.
He's definitely not playing. I'll tell you that much.
But if he's not coaching, I don't know how much I love UCF in this spot, because I feel like they need their coach to send them out on the high horse there. And if he's not coaching them, I'm not too confident at all. Next game though, in the Citrus Bowl presented by Overton's. This is one of our bowl name game bowls. Notre Dame and LSU. This is going to be in Orlando, Florida. All right, Mr. Cocky over here. Easy one. Who do you got?
LSU. Notre Dame has fallen off beyond belief. And you know what? LSU, they play hard-mouth football. They play in the SEC. And I know that they haven't gotten a lot of respect this year, but I think that I love their running back, Geis. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. It's kind of weird spelling, but I like him. He's a hard runner, and you know what? He did better than Leonard Fournette did against the best rushing defense in the nation in Alabama.
Okay.
So, you know what? They're my rival, but I'm hopping on the LSU train this year. I have no faith in Notre Dame.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. LSU is trending up. They're both 9-3, but LSU is trending up. Notre Dame is trending down. That's all I really got for this one. Eddie, what do you got?
I've got 2 words for you with Notre Dame. Miami Hurricanes. That's it. Enough said with that game. And Notre Dame's been dropping off. Like James said, they've just been dropping, especially ever since that Miami game. After the Miami game, forget about that.
So wait, you're with Notre Dame?
No, I'm against Notre Dame. I'm taking LSU, but I'm just saying, like that game, that Miami game really just showed, I think, Notre Dame's true colors. That they're just not ready.
Nick?
I mean, Notre Dame started out hot. They had wins versus USC, a win versus Michigan State, and NC State, who's been a pretty good team this season.
Yep.
And then 2 of the last 3 won, like you said, against Miami. Barely beat Navy, and then they'd lose by, I think it was 18 against Stanford. I'm very surprised LSU is only a 3-point favorite. I'll put it that way, and I see that as pretty easy money going into this matchup.
Yeah, and it's kind of, sorry to interrupt you, but I think it's kind of crazy. I would love to see Notre Dame and USC play each other right now because Notre Dame whooped them. What was it, 3-4 weeks ago? I don't even remember how long ago that was. But now it just seems like the narrative for both teams has completely switched. Yeah, so it's like, what were you gonna say?
Forgot.
It must not have been important then. Moving on to the next game.
Oh, I remember.
Oh, what's up?
Just like that. You know what? I really think Notre Dame not being in a Power 5 conference not only hurts them in playoff contention, but it also hurts recruiting because kids want to play in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And not being independent is going to hurt them consistently. And I think until they get into it with this new format, it's not the BCS. With this new format, it's going to continue to hurt them because they're always going to have a disadvantage of not playing in a conference championship.
And it's like if they don't not being in a conference championship game, even if they're sitting at like 11-1, unless they're undefeated, they're not going to be in the playoffs.
And that's even if they're just being considered.
And they have the schedule every year to do so. They play USC, they play Boston College, they play Miami, they play top schools. I mean, NC State, whatever. They play top schools all the time. Michigan State, but yeah, no. If they don't have that, that's what hurt the Big 12 for so long. They just didn't have that conference championship game. It would screw them every single year. TCU, I remember one year being number 3. They didn't have a conference championship game, and everybody thought, okay, they'll just move down to number 4. But nope, here comes Ohio State. They're moving to number 4. TCU, you get the hell out of here. All right, going on to the next game. We have the Rose Bowl game presented by Northwestern Mutual between the Georgia Bulldogs, number 3 Georgia Bulldogs, and the number 2 Oklahoma Sooners. Nick, who do you have in this game?
This game was a decently tough game for me, but Oklahoma's been a top 5 offense this year. They beat TCU, who also has a pretty good offense, twice, once by 18, once by 24.
And respectively, they're the 19th best defense in the nation. Pretty damn good.
Yeah. And they beat Oklahoma State by 10. They beat Ohio State. And they've only been held under 35 3 times. Oklahoma's defense is pretty porous. It wasn't even top 50. For points allowed anyways, wasn't in the top 50, but to your point, James, they have been playing very tough competition in their conference, and I just don't see a way that Georgia can keep up with Baker Mayfield.
I'm going Georgia all the way. You know why? Because Oklahoma has not played a defense like a Georgia Bulldogs defense.
Okay,
yes,
let me interrupt you. TCU
is 19th.
But yeah, but they're 19th because they got wrecked by Oklahoma twice.
They're playing the 4th best defense in the nation right now, and there's something about an SEC defense, and it's all SEC. Florida's defense is usually pretty dominant. That's what they're known for, and it'll be a close game. This is a game that I really want to watch because I'm interested to see how Oklahoma responds to playing a top 5 defense, which is something they haven't done all season. And with that being said, Oklahoma's been blowing everybody out. They're not going to blow Georgia out. If Oklahoma wins this game, it'll be close. It'll be a 1 possession. But I think Georgia, again, just sneaks by. It's going to be a 2 or 3 point game for me. If I'm making a prediction right now, I'm saying it's going to be 26-24 Georgia.
I'm gonna have to go with. I'm gonna completely disagree with you. I think Oklahoma's going to win this game. I think they're going to win this game by about 10 points or so. I think Baker Mayfield's just too damn good, man. Especially in the college format. 4,300 yards this year, 41 touchdowns. We talked about it. He's going to be the Heisman Trophy. It should be a unanimous decision. I don't know how they go about that. Well, if he's not,
we should go and arrest every single Heisman.
Straight robbery. It's ridiculous if it's not him unanimously. And I don't think Georgia's going to be able to stop him. Just like I don't I don't think that Auburn's going to be able to stop UCF. I don't see how Georgia stops Oklahoma at all. I don't see how they stop them from scoring 30 points, and I just don't see Georgia scoring 30 points against a team like Oklahoma.
Now, let's flip the sides, though. Okay, Georgia has a decent offense. They're rated in the top 35. Okay. Oklahoma's defense is horrendous, and we all know that.
Yes.
So, now, Georgia, what is their strength on offense? It's to run the ball. If you're going to run the ball down Oklahoma's throat all game long,
absolutely.
Time of possession's on your side, the way to beat Oklahoma is to keep Baker Mayfield off the field. And I think that Georgia is one of the select few teams, and quite frankly, I think the only teams in the nation that can do this to Oklahoma are in the playoffs right now. Alabama, who we all know are stacked at running back, so that's probably their deepest position. Clemson with Kelly Bryant, he's a phenomenal running quarterback. And Georgia, they got the two-headed monster at running back. And you know what? These teams can do that to Oklahoma, and I think that they will have success against Oklahoma doing that. And Georgia's gonna set the blueprint to beating Oklahoma for the future.
They may set the blueprint, but I don't think it's going to matter keeping him off the field because I think Baker Mayfield can score really quickly. He scored 2 minutes. If you watch that Oklahoma State game, I know you watched it. We were here watching this game. And Oklahoma State would drive down the field, they'd score, and then Baker Mayfield, 3 plays, touchdown.
Yeah, but that's not a top 5 defense.
No, I understand, but I don't think it's going to be like that ridiculous.
But 62 points on any team?
Yeah.
Against a Power 5 team?
And a team that, ranks 18th in the country? What's Oklahoma State?
I think they're 13th now.
Oklahoma State is 19th in the nation right now. So it's it's still a legit school. Eddie, what do you think about this game, Georgia-Oklahoma?
I'm taking Georgia over Oklahoma. I just think that Nick Chubb's really going to run the ball over them, and I think they're really going to run over that Oklahoma defense. I don't think Oklahoma's really ready for what Nick Chubb's about to give them personally, and I think Georgia's going to take that game.
All right.
Georgia's known for having those running backs.
Yeah.
Respectable.
Early.
I went to the same high school as Noshawn Moreno. He actually graduated in 2006, and I started in 2006. So
It's pretty cool.
He graduated the year that I was going into, but when I was in 8th grade, I was able to go to all the Middletown High School South football games. He set every rushing record known to man in high school football. So,
fun fact, actually, really quick. I went to Wellington High School. Big Miami fan. Next year or two, Amon Richards. Plays for Miami. Very, very good wide receiver. Only wide receiver to ever be a 5-star recruit out of Wellington High School. 2 years is going to be something to look for in the draft.
Okay. All right. Final game that's already determined. The All-State Sugar Bowl. Number 1 Clemson against number 4 Alabama. James, we'll let you go first. What are your Crimson Tide going to do in this game?
Do I even have to say?
Hey, man, are you going to be a homer or are you going to be real?
Oh, I'm going to be both. I'm going to be both. And Alabama's going to win this game. I'm going to give you just a couple reasons why. If there's one coach out there, you're going to give 1 month to prepare for any team.
It's Urban Meyer.
It's not Urban Meyer. And we both know it's Nick Saban. And Nick Saban is going to go down as the best coach in college football history. There's no questioning it. And just like Bill Belichick, you go into any game with the Patriots and you are confident that you're going to win, that Belichick is going to make adjustments and he's going to make sure that they win the game because of his smarts. Nick Saban is that in the college world. And you know what? Yes, they lost to Clemson last year. They almost won. Their defense collapsed. But their defense collapsed because they were on the field for 99 plays. That never happens. Their offense was scoring quickly, which also doesn't happen very often. Alabama is more of a pro-style offense. They like to run the ball. They like to run it down your throat. They like to take their time. And not to mention, Nick Saban had a week to prepare for Clemson, not a month. Mm-hmm. And now we're talking about 1 month to prepare for them. And they're already a favorite as the number 4 seed. So it's asinine that Wisconsin or Ohio State, even with the wins, how could you even put those teams in when Alabama is now a favorite over the number 1 team in the nation? That everybody is out of their minds for thinking that.
Well, just to be devil's advocate, and we're going to go off topic. If you're going to bring this up, I gotta hit you with this. Are we picking who is the best team, or are we picking who had the best season?
Who's the best team?
Because if we had the best team, then we're gonna have Alabama in it every year. But if we had who had the best season, Ohio State had a better season than Alabama. they beat.
It's hard to argue. And
Alabama didn't really beat anybody that was like super impressive. They beat Mississippi State on the road. But
something I want to throw out there, and I know Florida State collapsed, but they ended the season with the 24th ranked defense in the country. And
after they won that game against like Furman or whoever the hell they played.
Hey, everybody's got those games though.
Francois going down just demoralized.
But that happened in the fourth quarter of that game. He was available for basically the game was already out of reach when he got hurt. So, and I'm not saying they're a good team by any means, but people forget that they have.
But that's your signature win, man.
I wouldn't say that's a signature win. I'm just saying overall, I mean, it's just asinine that people could actually have thought that other teams would get in when that number.
But it depends on what you're going by, because if Wisconsin wins that game, they're definitely in, and they had a better season. And if Ohio State, they won that game, they won the Big Ten championship, they beat Penn State, they're coming back, and they whooped Michigan State. Those are all top teams.
The same argument that I made to you last week, and I heard somebody phrase it in a different way. Not only would, if you put Alabama against any team in the nation on the road, will they not lose by 31 points?
So obviously,
but they won't.
But that's not the argument. Who had the best season?
And truthfully, I think that with that loss, the resumes don't compare. Because you could put Alabama against the Browns right now and they won't lose by 31 points. And you know what? And the Browns, I mean, they're not.
That's debatable.
That's debatable.
They're not a good team, but they're an NFL team and they have NFL talent. And I still don't think that they would lose by 31. And I heard that argument elsewhere. I did not come up with that on my own, but I thought it was interesting. So that being said, I think this is a close game. 1 point, 1 possession game, just like it has been the last 2 years. This is going to be the best game of the college football year, and I think it'll be better than the national championship. And quite frankly, I'm a little upset that they didn't put Alabama at number 3.
I thought they were going
because
to.
We all know that if Alabama was number 3, we were going to see an Alabama.
That storyline.
I thought it was going to have a trilogy right there.
And you can say, well, they didn't win an SEC championship, but clearly they could have been the number 3 seed if they're a favorite over Clemson right now at the number 4 seed.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm going to lean slightly towards Clemson. And we talked about it earlier before the show. I'm really nervous about Alabama's linebackers. And you were telling me that 2 of them are going to play, but their best one's not going to play.
He was injured later in the season. Deion Hamilton, he will not be playing. He's done.
So that does concern me. And I think, if you looked at the numbers when they had all 3 of their linebackers, they're impossible to run the ball against, impossible to throw the ball against. But without them, they're pretty beatable. They're pretty. I wouldn't say average, but I'm not beatable as in like you're going to beat Alabama. Beatable as in you're going to beat those linebackers playing against those players. And I know Alabama backups are still really good, but they're not. Not as good as the people who are going to be starting, obviously. And you made the point that hey, you can't punish us for having hurt players earlier. I remember you saying, and I think going against a Clemson team, Clemson's real. And interesting fact here. When Dabo Swinney, I think he's been an underdog 6 times since he's been the Clemson coach of the past 4 or 5 seasons. And he's 5-1 when he's an underdog in those games. 5-1 straight up.
Now, something I want to add to that, though, is that he had Deshaun Watson for 3 of those years, which is very... that's a huge boost. Now, Kelly Bryant's good, but him and Deshaun Watson...
He's not Deshaun Watson, obviously.
They're totally different players, and Kelly Bryant's more of a running quarterback, so...
And you don't have Mike Williams either.
You don't have Mike Williams, and you know what? They're going to have to rely on Kelly Bryant to throw the ball. Because Alabama, Nick Saban knows what he's going up against. He's going to stack the box. And I get what you're saying, because even the SEC doesn't have great offense, so Alabama's second-ranked defense could be a little inflated. But you know what? They have more 5-star recruits than most team, every team basically, and their backups are 5-star recruits, and their backups of their backups are 5-star recruits. So it's just about getting experience, and they have been getting experience, and now they're getting those linebackers back. All of them except for one should be back in this game, even though Sean Deion Hamilton's huge. They're just going to stack the box, and Minkah Fitzpatrick is going to shut down their best receiver all game long. He's going to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft this year, and I think that Alabama has the keys to beat Clemson this year, because they don't have the threat of Deshaun Watson staying in the pocket and lighting them up all across the field like he did last year.
Nick, what do you got in this game?
I think this is a razor thin, tight matchup. This could go any way, and the spread dictates that as well. I mean, it's only a 2. Well, when I bet on it, it was a 2-point spread. Now it's 2.5. And people could argue that Clemson's defense is a little overrated. Having wins over the Citadel and Kent State, but you look at the major teams they played. They held. I mean, it is Miami's offense is a little anemic, but they still held them to 3 points in an ACC championship game. They held Louisville, who has Lamar Jackson, who's a Heisman candidate, to 21 points. And they held Auburn, who had a potential to be in the playoffs, to 6 points.
They're number 6 in the country, by the way. Their defense, Clemson.
Yes.
Number 6 in the country.
Number 6 in the country, and second for points for opponents' points allowed. And I mean, you saw what Auburn's defense did to Alabama. Who's to say that Clemson's, which is a slightly better version of their defense, you could argue to do the exact same. I mean, the blueprint from that Auburn game is out there on how to potentially stop Alabama. And if there's one coach who could implement it well with the talent he has on defense, it's Dabo Swinney.
Eddie, what do you got?
It's another close one. I have to what Nick's saying, but I'm gonna take Alabama. I think Bama is gonna be. They always have been that team to always just Nick Saban just always gets the job done. Last year, did he? No, but they also won. They also lost that game with 6 seconds left. There was a touchdown pass. So,
and you had the best player in college football, and he was lighting up the NFL before he got hurt. So clearly,
So I think it's gonna be a very, very close game. Personally, I think it's gonna be another. Either a field goal game or it's gonna be a last minute touchdown drive, and somebody's gonna put them away. But I think it's gonna be Alabama for that game. Actually.
All right, another game that we have 2-2 right down the middle. This last game here, it's whatever the winners we have. It's the BCS National Championship. Obviously, I have Oklahoma against Clemson. I'm going to take Oklahoma over Clemson. I love Baker Mayfield. I don't think there's any stopping him. And the reason why I have Oklahoma beating Clemson instead of Alabama beating Clemson is because I don't think Alabama's offense has that kind of firepower. If that firepower is going to come from the defense making plays, and then they'll score with short field. I don't think Oklahoma needs that at all. And I really think I think Baker Mayfield can really take it to that defense, which you think, Nick, is a little overrated. The defensive line for Clemson's legit. I think all 4 of those players are going to go in the first round of the draft.
That's what scares me about the Alabama-Clemson game is not the Clemson's offense versus Bama's defense, but it's vice versa. It's the offense versus the defense for Alabama and Clemson. I'm scared of that Clemson defense because I don't know what we're going to do without Lane Kiffin.
All right. Who do you got in the national championship?
I got Alabama, Georgia. It's going to be an all-SEC championship game, and defense wins championships. And Clemson got that defense. Oklahoma does not. You got three out of the 4 teams. Their defenses are in the top 10, and it's really proven itself that defense will win you a championship when you need it, unless you have Deshaun Watson. But Bama over Georgia. I know it sounds homer, but I mean,
it sounds very homer.
How could you go? How could you root against them? I mean,
how could you root against them?
Or how could you pick up?
I could tell you a million reasons right now.
That's not what I meant. What I meant was, if you're thinking logically, they've been the favorite all season long, and it sounds cliche, but I mean, they have. This is what Bama lives for. They don't live to play the 12 game. Those are like preseason games for them. This is where their real season starts. And I think that Nick Saban is. I know that he's a great coach and he's going to go down as the best of all time. But
how many times are you going to say that in this segment?
There's something that's. Hey, double F you. I think that there's a fire under him because he did not like losing that game with. He's a defensive-minded coach, and they lost it on defense. And I think he's out for revenge, not only against Clemson, but he wants to show everybody that last year was just a fluke and that he can still get it done.
So you got Bama over Georgia. Eddie, what do you got?
I got another Bama-Georgia game, another SEC championship here, or an SEC national championship here. And personally, I think, you gotta love Alabama and how good they really are. You really gotta appreciate the talent they have on that team and just Nick Saban as head coach. But I'm taking Georgia because you want to know why I'm taking Georgia?
Why is that?
Who doesn't want to see Nick Saban lose?
Isn't that the truth?
So, honestly, I just want to see Georgia pull the upset off is really what I want to see.
Okay.
Will they? I don't know, but I just really want to see Georgia pull off the upset on Alabama. I think it'd be honestly great to see on television. it would really you know what it might actually do with Nick Saban being on the radar for the New York Giants. If he loses, he might want to go to the Giants.
I've heard that.
He'll never leave Alabama.
Definitely heard that as a rumor.
You think even if he loses this national championship, even if Georgia or whoever he may play,
I think if they offered him a piece of the franchise. They'd have to do something like that.
They have to give him like 10% of the team.
But it's not even Nick Saban's decision. Like, I know his wife just does not want to leave Alabama at all.
Yeah. I actually
that's the first time you've ever heard that.
Yeah, I actually know somebody who has been to Nick Saban's house. He's family friends of Nick Saban. He actually lives in the area now. He went to CSB, and he's told me that not only Nick Saban brings the players to his house. He's got a pond out back, a lake. They go boating and on rafts and stuff. He just doesn't go to coach and then go home. He's really involved with that team, and that's his life. He's got a legacy going on. Why are you going to leave a legacy to go coach a team that yes, it could be good, but look at the last time you went to the NFL. I know that you didn't get Drew Brees, and that's partly why you left. But
pretty good reason why.
But I mean, you haven't made in Alabama, and I don't see him ever leaving. And I think he's gonna. People kind of forget about him going to the Dolphins and being unsuccessful because all they can think about now
not down here.
Not down here, but nationwide, pretty much, except for South Florida. He's thought of as a god college football coach, not the Dolphins coach. So I don't think he's gonna leave that behind.
Nick, who do you got for your national championship game?
Well, Sean, me and you have agreed on every single pick so far, and we're gonna agree again. I'm going.
No, I think I actually took the UCF game. You took Auburn.
Oh yeah,
I changed that one at the last second. Then,
okay,
so that's our one difference.
So we have one differing pick. I hope these make us a lot of money.
Yeah, right.
But I do agree with you. I do as well have Oklahoma over Clemson.
Smart man.
Partly because of the reasons you gave. I mean, yes, Clemson's defense is good. You could potentially argue it's a little overrated. And if Baker Mayfield is able to get out of the pocket and do what he does, or make plays inside the pocket very quickly, a read and react, I don't see a way Clemson is going to put up or be able to keep up with the offensive output that Oklahoma can put on them.
All right.
Very quickly, because we did not go over this scenario.
Okay.
What if it is Alabama, Oklahoma? How do you see Baker Mayfield going up against a true defense that we know may be a little inflated, but we know they're a legitimate top 5 defense, that they will rise to the occasion?
I think Alabama would have the edge over Oklahoma. I think they would put some real pressure on Baker Mayfield.
I think it would be his toughest test of his college career.
Oh, yeah, no, because that secondary for Bama is a lot better than Clemson's, which is why I have Oklahoma beating Clemson. But if that were to go against Alabama, that defensive line is, I would say, if Clemson's has the best defensive line, Alabama is 1B. Mm-hmm. So I think that would still have the same amount of pressure, but that secondary is also really good too. And the linebackers, I would assume the 2 out of 3 would still be healthy.
And their 5-star recruit, who's a freshman, he was the biggest number 1 middle linebacker in the country coming into this recruiting class, and he's played relatively well over the course of the season due to all the injuries.
Fair enough. All right, coming up next, we have our picks against the spread for the NFL. You're listening to BTH.
You're listening to Between the Hash Marks with James Koklak and Sean McCabe, brought to you by an unknown sponsor we don't have yet. Now back to the show.
And welcome back to Between the Hash Marks. We just gave you the College Bowl name game. We gave you our picks for the biggest games that we're going to have. We're also going to post all of the games on Facebook, and we're going to tally our win-loss record just for bragging rights. And I do have an extra hockey puck I could give out to the winner here. But
any crab rangoons?
Yeah, no crab rangoons. Sorry, no Chinese food. Maybe there's a good place called Chopsticks down the road. Good Chinese food. Maybe I'll give you a gift card to it or something.
As long as I don't have to use chopsticks, because I don't know how to use them. I am one of the only people that eat sushi with a fork.
I cheat with my hands, man. The finger.
Yeah, I just eat it with the hand, dunk it in the soy sauce.
I should start
get some wasabi in there.
I thought I was the only American on the planet eating sushi with a fork.
Yeah, you probably are. But anyway, we're going to do our picks against the spread right now. I don't have the exact tally for James and I's win-loss record, but everybody knows we've actually had a really good season. We're both in this around 60%. And the loser, just a reminder, the loser is going to have to wear an opposing jersey of the other's favorite team.
I can go get that Jets jersey. It's in my car.
Yeah, don't you worry about it. No need for that. I would have to wear a Jets jersey. Was it Santonio Holmes?
Yes.
And you have to wear a Patriots jersey. I can make you wear that.
I've got a Brady jersey at home. It's not mine.
I do have a Wes Welker. I also have a LeGarrette Blount.
Unfortunately, I live with two Patriot fans. I don't live with two Patriot fans anymore, but two Patriot fans are in my immediate family, my mom and my brother. Hardcore, diehard Patriot fans, and they have been since 2001. So,
but we have 2 games with our co-hosts here. 2 games that are triple likes, and we're gonna be starting out with those because we want you to win that money right away. And we have 1 game that's going to be a crossfire. It's actually me against 2 of the other guys here. I mean, I'm going to be right, obviously. But with the first game that we have here, we have the Seattle Seahawks at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, I'm a Jags fan.
2.5 point spread.
Yeah, I got it at 2.5 as well. It's been moving around all week at between 3, 2, 2.5. I got it at 2.5. I'm a Jags fan. But I am going with the Seattle Seahawks. Now you're gonna say, Sean, how can you go against your own Jags? And I'll tell you why. Pete Carroll is great in the month of December since he's been with the Seattle Seahawks. He's 32-15 straight up. That is 68% straight up. 6-3 straight up in December on the East Coast. In the Eastern time zone. Seattle is catching 2.5. I just love the way they've been playing. Russell Wilson's an animal. He honestly, he's my MVP right now just because they have no offensive line at all. I'm taking the Seattle Seahawks plus 2.5. James.
I got Seattle as well, and Jacksonville's defense is awesome, but I don't think that they've played a quarterback like Russell Wilson yet. Russell Wilson, not that Jacksonville has flaws, but he can make them have flaws, if that makes sense. Jacksonville is known for Sacksonville now. You know what I mean? They're known for getting a lot of sacks, and that's not going to happen in Seattle. Russell Wilson is the best in the business of getting out of trouble and making something out of nothing, in a sense. And what scares me is that they're on the East Coast now, but it's not a 1 o'clock start, it's a 4:25,
yes.
So that's a 1 o'clock start in Seattle. It's a little bit better for them, but usually they're not great on the West East Coast. But, I mean, again, Seattle's an underdog. How often? I have to go with them.
Yeah.
You can't go against Seattle.
Yeah, I'm going to take Seattle as well by 2.5. You know what? And like James said, he goes, Russell Wilson is the man that can just find a way out of the pocket and do that. And guess what? He has been doing that. He's actually the leading rusher on the Seahawks this year. And he can move around, and in December, just like Sean said, they just play December football. They know how to win, and they always put it together somehow. But also, Seattle's been rolling lately. Yeah. And they just beat the Eagles. Yep. And the Eagles, everybody been saying the Eagles could be the real deal, possibly. But Seattle's rolling, and they always tend to do this in December, so I'm going to go with Seattle on this one.
Little fun fact about Russell Wilson this season. The Seattle Seahawks have 30 touchdowns as a team on the season, offensively at least. And Russell Wilson is responsible for 29 of them. Wow. 26 passing, 3 rushing, and the only rushing touchdown that Russell Wilson is not responsible for as a whole, which would be the 30th, is J.D. McKissick had a rushing touchdown a couple weeks back, and that is it.
Okay. Nick, I know you're not involved in this game, but give us your first pick.
My first pick, I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals -6 over the Chicago Bears. You look at the Bears, their defense has been all right, but their offense has been pretty much anemic. And I know the Bengals are coming off a decently short way. I mean, they had a Monday night game against the Steelers, but they held up admirably well. I feel like everybody and their mother was taking that Steelers -4.5 or better, and even when it jumped to 5.5, I was jumping on that too. And it seemed like a lock, and the Red Rocket got it done, and I think he'll do it again now. I don't think the Bears will be able to keep up with the Bengals at all.
You mean the red water pistol?
I thought it was the red rifle.
That's what they want him to be known. I call him the red water pistol. But anyway, okay, we actually have a second triple light game. I'm not involved in this, but James, I'll let you take this away here.
All right, so the other triple light game here is the Denver game. And I bet it with Denver basically every week. Well, I have for like the last 4 weeks, thinking, all right, they're going to win this week. Their defense is too good. They're going to win this week. Their defense is too good. Yeah, well, I'm going with my team this time, the New York Football Jets, as a 1-point favorite. Have the Jets been favored in many games this season? No.
What's that? I don't even understand what you just told me.
Yeah, it's just like Eagle fans not knowing where the Super Bowl ring is.
Right.
But
Love to hear that.
But the Jets, yes, they're a 1-point favorite in this, and Denver has looked atrocious. Absolutely atrocious on offense and on defense. Their defense has given up, I think it's the most passing touchdowns in the league, which was a surprising, mind-blowing stat for me to see when I saw it. So the Jets have been on a roll lately. Josh McCown, I mean, he's like the ageless wonder at this point, 38 years old, finally getting a starting position over the last couple of years with the Bears, taking over, then going to the Browns. I mean, he's really looked decent with the Jets.
He almost has 3,000 yards already.
And he's been a top 7 quarterback in the league this year. Nobody saw that coming. I'm rolling with the Jets. Jets.
I also have the Jets. The Jets have just been rolling lately, and they look good, and Denver just looks too bad to even... I mean, put it this way, the New York Giants were 2-10. We beat Denver in Mile High. The Giants are awful, so we have no business beating the Denver Broncos. We had no business also beating the Kansas City Chiefs, but we'll find ways to somehow beat that AFC West. But
And you guys didn't have OBJ in that game either.
yeah, without OBJ and our top receivers. But I'm going to take the Jets. Just McCown looks great, and Robbie Anderson's looking phenomenal out there. He's burning corners. He's doing his thing. So I'm going to take the Jets by 1.
I have the Jets as well. Robbie Anderson's looked like a top 5 receiver the last couple weeks, and James, to your point about Denver letting up passing touchdowns, it's easy to see Robbie getting another one this week. Jets have been 7-4-1 against the spread this week, and I ended up getting them at a pick'em, but -1 is just as good. I think it's not going to be too close this game.
I hope you're right.
Yeah, no, I actually also picked the Jets. I put money down on them. I don't have it in my 5 picks here, but I did put money down on them, so we do have a quadruple.
I'm glad to see a Patriot fan putting his money down on the Jets.
Well, I mean, we just
Little brother, right?
That's right. You guys nailed it on the head. I mean, the Denver looks terrible in all facets of the game. The Jets look pretty good in a lot of facets of the game. -1 for me, that's no big deal. My second game here, I'm taking Philadelphia at Los Angeles Rams +2. Look, Philly lost in a tough game. We knew James had it as one of your picks last week that Seattle was going to at least cover, maybe not win, but cover the 6-point spread that it was.
Seattle's a hard place to play.
Exactly. And as we expected, Philly lost. I mean, we thought Philly might lose this game, and it happened. But now there's an overreaction because when this game originally went to bet, Philly was a 3-point favorite. Now, Philly is a 2-point underdog. What has changed? Nothing. We knew they were going to have a tough time against Seattle. They actually outgained Seattle by over 100 yards. It was just a couple of turnovers that didn't go their way. It's this overreaction just blows my mind, and I don't really understand it at all. I gotta take Philadelphia +2 here. Not to mention, when they lost in Seattle, they didn't go back to Philly. They stayed out west. And when you're staying out west and you have this bad loss just festering on the team, and there's no distractions, no family distractions, there's nothing going on with your home. You're on the West Coast, you're on the team trip, you're thinking about that loss all day and all night. I expect Philadelphia to come back and hit this game hard. Give me the Eagles +2.
I think that can go either way. I think it could negatively affect them, and we haven't been home in 2 weeks, or it could go that way too.
I think when teams are on an all football kind of trip, they're just thinking about football. We saw this with Miami Dolphins when they went to San Diego to start practicing because of Hurricane Irma, and they beat the San Diego Chargers. We see this all the time when the Patriots, after the Mile High game in Denver, they stayed there and they stayed in practice there before going to Mexico City.
The Patriots are just on another level.
But it doesn't matter. We look at the Dolphins. Dolphins are terrible this year, and because they had that practice time out in San Diego, they were no distraction, no family distractions, nothing happening, all football. They took care of business. Next game, we have the Carolina Panthers and the Minnesota Vikings. This is a crossfire between me and the two co-hosts. I have the Carolina Panthers. They're getting 2.5 at home, and this is simply a fade for me against Minnesota. They've won 8 in a row, and they've had 2 tough games back to back. Just last 2 games on the road, and I thought they outplayed themselves. Can they do it for a 3rd game in a row? I don't think they'll win a 3rd road game, tough road game in a row. Cam is really good at playing well. We're not expecting him to. I think the roller coaster effect here with Cam Newton going on all season. I expect him to play well this game because nobody's really talking about him doing well. And there's a little bit of extra motivation because of what happened on Thursday night with that Atlanta and New Orleans game. Carolina needs this win more than ever. Give me the Panthers plus 2.5. Nick, what do you got?
I have the Minnesota Vikings -2 in this game. Cam has thrown 11 picks this year in 12 games, and the Vikings have been very opportunistic on defense this year. And once Dalvin Cook went down, everybody thought the Vikings were just going to implode. And Latavius Murray and McKinnon have stepped up pretty well for them. Thielen has been amazing for them. Diggs has been really good. Rudolph's finally come into his own the last couple weeks. And ever since that Rams game where they just manhandled us. I mean, it was a close game, but still, the Vikings just, to me, seem legit, and I see them going into Carolina and winning by at least 3.
So are you just picking the Vikings because they beat your Rams?
I mean, the Rams are going to the Super Bowl, so if you beat a Super Bowl team.
All right, Eddie, what do you got?
I also took the Vikings by -2.5. I just think that the defense of the Vikings is too good, and whenever Cam ends up facing a very good defense, look what happens to him. Implodes. Okay. And that's usually how it goes. I mean, realistically, Xavier Rhodes, I don't even know who Xavier Rhodes is going to cover in this game. Who's Xavier Rhodes going to cover? Devin Funchess?
Funchess probably.
Funchess ain't going to be open. He's going to get too frustrated with Xavier Rhodes. Xavier Rhodes all he does is run his mouth as it is, and really Cam Newton doesn't have much to do with him. He's got McCaffrey, but McCaffrey has really been underrated all year. I mean, people have been saying, oh, he's going to be great, he's going to have a good game. He's had a few good games. Really hasn't been the best. And it's a matter of Cam actually showing up, which is what this game's going to come down to. Because realistically, you never know if Cam's going to show up. But I'm going to take Minnesota just because their defense and even their offense has been firing on all cylinders.
All right.
I brought this up before. I don't have this game, and I brought this up before in another podcast. But Cam Newton has the freak abilities to be the best quarterback in this league that nobody else has, and he's the most inconsistent player I've ever watched.
Absolutely.
And I just don't understand why. And maybe it's his work ethic. I don't know what it is, but he has the talent to be the best quarterback in the league, and it drives me crazy that he doesn't put in the work, or it doesn't appear that he's putting in the work, I should say, because I'm not there. But my 3rd game, I'm going to go with the biggest spread on my sheet. I'm taking the New England Patriots. You put your money on the Jets. I'm putting my money on the Patriots.
Wow.
An 11-point spread at Miami.
Big number.
Yeah, I think that the spread was 16.5 the last time they played, and New England covered. Mm-hmm. So why aren't they going to cover this time? They're going to wipe Miami off the map. I mean, Miami is a doormat to the Patriots at this point in their respective seasons. And you know what? The Patriots stumbled out at the gate, but we're close enough to the playoffs where this is where Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. You saw Tom Brady yelling at Josh McDaniels last week, and that fire and passion is really coming into full effect now because they both know, as veteran coach and veteran quarterback, this is the time to really step it up and to start preparing for the playoffs if you know you're going to be there, and to start implementing things that you want to use in the playoffs, things like that. New England is going to wipe Miami off the map. Give it a final score of 30-0.
Oh my God. All right. We'll see if that happens. Moving on to my next game.
I'll take that bet.
You guys want to bet dinner? I want to bet some Chinese food.
Some crab rangoons, yeah. But seriously though, if you think about it, in reality, the
Patriots the Miami we've talked about this many times, they have no heart. The Miami Dolphins have no heart, and it starts with Jay Cutler, who has no heart. I mean, the guy should not be playing football. He shouldn't even be in a press box.
I mean, they seemed to show some heart last week when they wiped Denver off the face of the planet.
Yeah, but we're talking about Denver Broncos here, who are on an 8-game losing streak, and they've looked like they're the worst team in the league at this point, and I'm not even sure that they'd beat the Cleveland Browns. Right. So, maybe it won't be 30-0, but they're definitely going to cover.
You said 30-0, it's going to be 30-0.
Hey, I wouldn't be surprised, but they're definitely covering.
Go with your gut.
Moving on to the next game that I have here. This is one of my favorite bets. I have Arizona catching 3 points at home against the Tennessee Titans. Look, the Tennessee Titans are one of the most overrated teams in the NFL. I don't understand how they keep finding ways to win these games where they're getting outplayed for 58.5 minutes.
Even more?
Yeah, no, 59.5 minutes, really. But Arizona is sneaky good at home. They just beat Jacksonville at home. And I just really believe that this team is still fighting very hard for their coach, Bruce Arians. That Larry Fitzgerald's having another career year. He's third in the NFL in reception so far. Give me Arizona +3. James, who is your fourth pick?
My fourth pick is San Francisco. 2 weeks in a row I'm going to bet on San Francisco. The last time I bet against them, I got crushed. You know what Houston looks terrible against the pass. That is their one weakness on defense. And especially since Deshaun Watson's gone down, they kind of lost air on that team. And I mean, DeAndre Hopkins still sees targets. He still puts up production. But he's about the only person who's putting up production on that team. And Jimmy Garoppolo looked great last week. I mean, the only thing that he didn't have on his resume for that game was a touchdown pass. Well, yeah, he threw an interception last week, but he basically had 300 passing yards. And it was his first game as a starter with a new team in a sense. Him and Marquise Goodwin, I think, are going to hook up for at least one touchdown this week. And San Francisco should beat Houston this week. I don't see any reason that they won't. So I'm taking San Francisco. I'm rolling with Jimmy G this week, and I expect him to put up some big numbers against this porous Houston pass defense. Who'd you pick, Eddie?
My fourth pick I have is I'm taking Oakland +4. I know that they're in KC, but with Eric Berry in the last few games we've been seeing Eric Berry, they've really been hurting without him. And now Marcus Peters being out with a stupid play throwing the flag into the stands. I don't even know what he's even thinking.
He
wasn't thinking, obviously. And
trying to make himself a meme.
Yeah, and now you got Crabtree coming back this week, and we all know how Crabtree is. Crabtree's he's usually good for a touchdown a game, and if not a touchdown, at least 100 yards, 80 to 100 yards. So I'm going to go with Oakland, and also that's a very, very big rivalry game. Yeah. And the only way I see KC winning this game is they got to get Kareem Hunt out of that funk. But as of right now, I don't see that happening, and I'm going to take Oakland.
For the division lead.
Yeah, it is. Kansas City's been falling, and Oakland's kind of been climbing a little bit. So it's gonna be a very good game, and I'm going to take Oakland.
All right, Nick, who's your fourth pick?
That was my next pick as well, and I also have the Raiders. I actually got the Raiders at 3.5.
Oh, so we have a double like here.
Yes.
Very good.
All right.
Very good.
And I mean, there is a 3-way tie for that division, and the last time these two teams met was on a Thursday night, and it was one of the best games of the year. Raiders winning 31-30. This week, again, I agree with you. Tamba Hali's probably not going to play. Peters is out, and yes, Arrowhead is a tough place to play. The Raiders have Amari Cooper back. I'm sorry, Crabtree back, and Kansas City's lost 6 of their last 7 games. Some of those games against the Jets, the Giants, two guys here, and the only team they've won in that span is against the Broncos. So I don't feel comfortable putting any money on the Chiefs, and especially them as favorites.
All right, my favorite pick, my favorite pick is Pittsburgh -4.5 at home against Baltimore. I had Pittsburgh last week -4.5 at Cincinnati. Not the right play there, but I'll tell you why this is different. Big Ben and the Pittsburgh Steelers have been great at home this year when their competition is perceived as tough. The Minnesota Vikings, they beat them 26-9. The Tennessee Titans, they whooped them on Thursday Night Football. The Cincinnati Bengals, were only a 3-point underdog in that game, and they blew them out. And you can argue that Jacksonville game, but we didn't know Jacksonville was actually this good. So, yeah, give me Pittsburgh. They're under the bright lights in Pittsburgh. And this is the situation where I love them in. And honestly, people are a little bit down on Pittsburgh because they lost Shazier because of all the injuries, because of all the distractions. And that's also when Pittsburgh does well. I know you've made bets for Pittsburgh when they're 14-point favorites and then they win by 3. This is the kind of game where I think people are starting to kind of not count them out, but just kind of downgrade them a little bit. And I don't think they deserve to be downgraded at all. Give me Pittsburgh minus 4.5. James, what is your final pick?
I was scared crapless to pick that game. I wanted to, but every time I pick Pittsburgh, they always let me down. They let you down last week.
They did let me down last week.
But Le'Veon Bell went off for me in fantasy, so I can't eat. But my last game is Tampa Bay. It's in Tampa versus Detroit. Tampa is a 1-point favorite. Now, Detroit, they started the season real hot. Matt Stafford's not 100%. Their defense has really not been all that great lately, especially against tight ends. And Tampa they have 2 good tight ends. O.J. Howard, he's a rookie out of Alabama, and he doesn't see that too much production. But Cameron Brate and Jameis Winston just have this connection. And it seems like they're good for a touchdown a game. And even if it's Brate's only catch of the game, it seems like it's in the end zone. He is their red zone target. And Tampa, they haven't looked great this year, but I feel like this is a winnable game for them. And Jameis this is going to be a second week back, and I feel like they have a lot to prove. This coach wants to keep his job. They're playing for next season now. They're trying to show people that they're not a joke, and the next year they're going to be the real deal, as people thought possibly that they would be this year. They take that step from the 9-7 to maybe 10-6 or 11-5 and compete in the NFC South. They really didn't do that this year, even though I thought that they could have. They really had they have a great offense. I mean, Jameis could be a top 10 quarterback if he plays well. I mean, you got Mike Evans, Deshaun Jackson, Cameron Brate. The list goes on of offensive weapons. Doug Martin. I mean, give me Tampa +1. They're an underdog at home. I'm taking them.
Eddie, who do you got for your final pick?
Just to end my night, I got to go with the New York Giants +4.5.
That's what he did last time he was on. And it worked out pretty well.
And it worked. And I'm just going to say, just like I had said earlier in the podcast, talking about with the New York Giants and what's going on with the team, I think everybody's going to rally around Eli Manning getting back on the field. Everybody's going to rally around Spagnuolo being the head coach because he's very well respected. And I think that, and being in New York now, and we're playing the Dallas Cowboys, like I said, this is our Super Bowl. This is all we have to look forward to the rest of the year, is playing the Dallas Cowboys like we do every year. And the last 4 games we've played them, we have won 3. We're going to New York, and I think everybody's going to rally around Eli and Spags. And don't be surprised if the Giants pull this one out, even by a touchdown. Could be.
Well, you guys, I also read something that a bunch of former Giants players are going to be showing up too in Eli jerseys.
That is correct.
So,
all right, Nick, who is your final pick?
My final pick is the Redskins +6.5 at the Chargers. Everybody's riding high on the Chargers after they have 3 wins in a row. But let's look at those 3 wins. First, they played Nathan Peterman. I mean, come on, the guy throws 5 picks in the first half. He's clearly not an NFL quarterback. It's ridiculous. And then they beat the hapless Cowboys without Tyron Smith when they were just in complete shambles. I mean, they're still in shambles, but and then they beat the Browns last week. I mean, those 3 last wins that everybody's so high on them about aren't that impressive to me.
Essentially 3 bye weeks.
Exactly. And I mean, being in Los Angeles, their home games aren't even treated as home games anyways. I think the Redskins have something to prove, and they came off a Thursday night game last week, so they have some extra time to prepare.
There's going to be 30,000 Redskins fans.
I just think 6.5 points is too much for the Redskins. They're being completely overlooked. I mean, their season is almost done anyways, and the Chargers will be looking forward to the Raiders and Chiefs games to get the division, so they could possibly be looking past the Redskins as well.
Well, you know what, guys? That's going to do it for this podcast. Remember, we're going to put everything on Facebook for the college football bowl games. We are going to see who does the best out of the 4 of us. I mean, we all know that I'm going to come in first place.
I don't know about that one.
It might fall into place after that. But I want to thank you guys for coming on the show today.
Yes,
thank
absolutely.
you, Eddie. Thank you, Nick. Sean, as always, it has been a pleasure.
Yes.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed yourselves. We will definitely have you back on the cast at some point.
Can't wait.
And you know what? Next week, we are going to have 2 more loaded shows for you, as we always do. Coming up next Tuesday, right here on BTH. Make sure you tune in.